Please sign into the chat with your name and affiliation, if relevant, in the chat box. And if you're here to speak on a specific item, please note that in the chat. The chat is used to sign up to speak. Sorry about that. The chat is only to be used to sign up to speak, or ask about technical issues. The chat will go to me and hopefully Susan and Jeanette at some point. I will announce when each agenda item is up for comment from the public. Please use the raise hand Zoom function when that happens. I will recognize speakers in the order that I see them, with a maximum 2-minute time limit. If you're here representing a group, please select no more than 2 speakers from that group, but I will note the number of attendees supporting that, or supporting your point of view. Please keep yourself muted unless I recognize you. And just so everyone knows, we did have a few with a one last minute withdrawal for 159 East Houston Street. So we will not be hearing that item tonight. So if you're here from the public to speak on that item, 159 East Houston Street has withdrawn, and we'll go back next month. Okay, first item is a roll call vote. I will call that from the members. Michelle Coopersmith, present. Jeanette Kim. Oh, just a second. Okay, I think she's running late. David Crane.
Present.
Jamie Felber.
Present.
Herman Hewitt.
Present.
Ellen Liu. Paul Sieros.
Present.
Jesse Beck.
He joined, so he should be here.
Yeah, I just saw him. Jesse. Uh-oh.
Yes.
Is that Jesse?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I hear you now. It seemed like you were muted. I wasn't sure it was actually you. Welcome. Okay. And okay, now, are there any objections to the adoption of the last month's minutes? If you have any, please, from the committee, please voice them now. Okay. Minutes are adopted. Okay, we're going to go a little bit out of order tonight. So the first one we're going to do is number 5, Offside, OT AT LLC at 94 Avenue A. Are the applicants for that here?
I am here, Thomas Michele. I'm the applicant.
Thomas. Okay.
I'm here also.
Hi, Frank. All right, I'm going to drop the questionnaire in the chat for everyone if they'd like to take a look at it. Just for run of show, I'll run through the highlights of each application. Then we'll give the committee a chance to ask questions of the applicant and anything they need for clarification. Then I will open up the floor for members of the public to speak, and that's when I will ask you to raise your Zoom hand to speak. Okay, this is an application for a new full on-premises liquor license at 94 Avenue A at East 6th Street. Letter of no objection of 74 people, 17 tables and 44 seats. American comfort food prepared in a full kitchen. Hours of operation are opening 4 p.m. Monday to Friday and 11 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, and closing by 4 a.m. all days. This location is currently licensed, although the operations have since closed, of August Laura since September 2019. With similar stipulations: 4 a.m. indoors closure and 11 p.m. outdoors closure all days, no DJs or live music. The previous operator before August Laura was longtime Sidewalk Cafe, which problems that were created there were from having live music and not closing the door. Stipulations that we have since adopted here at CB3 to make sure that everyone closes their door when that happens. For August Laura, problems included having speakers outside playing music, which is actually not allowed as far as we know, although there's been some stipulations around that. But anyway, loud music outside. The applicant for this, the applicant tonight has held a full on-premises liquor license at Offside Tavern on West 14th Street from January 2017 to July 2020, and has no SLA disciplinary history. This location had 5 commercial 301 complaints with NYPD necessary since 2018. We did not receive any letters for or against this ahead of the meeting. And 32 residents signed a petition in favor. Okay. Does anyone from the committee have any questions about this application?
I would just ask them to give me a slide since there's no opposition and stuff. Could you give me just a little synopsis of what your business will be like?
Sure. Michelle, can I just add one thing to your synopsis?
Sure, go ahead.
My client, Thomas Fischetti, has never been licensed before. He has worked at those premises for how many years, Tom?
Sorry, yeah, it was open in 2017 and then closed during COVID. So I guess 3.5 years, something like whatever that
But he
worked
wasn't
out.
actually licensed there.
Okay,
No.
okay, thanks for clarifying. So how long have you been working in the industry?
About 10 years
Okay.
total.
Thank you for clarifying. And so if you want to just answer Herman's question to give a sense of what type of business you're going to run, but if you could keep it brief, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I think I sent over the menu, which I'm sure that it's in there too, but it's American comfort food. It's kind of approachable, I would hope. Burgers, French dip, nachos, that kind of thing. Be sit down, hostess would seat you, a waiter or waitress, hostess, whatever, would serve you. There's a bar with several seats. Yeah, it's more just like a dining place. It's on the avenue, so hopefully with a lot of good foot traffic and things like that. Don't really want it to be very expensive or fancy, but I really love how the space looks because of the previous owners, renovations and stuff. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
How long is the bar? What's the
Repeat
length
that,
of the
Herman?
bar?
26 feet 5 inches with 12 stools.
I don't have didn't pull down the application. What is the closing hours for this, Michelle?
4 a.m. all night, same as the previous operators. David, go ahead.
Yeah, I know it was 4 a.m. before. I lived on the block. There's a lot of licenses side by side. I don't know. It'll be a restaurant, I bet, but that's pretty late. I don't know if there's any way to pull that in to close earlier on the weeknights, maybe. 4 a.m. for a restaurant is not going to be a restaurant up until 4 a.m. I do not believe that. There's a lot of licenses on that block, a lot, 6, side by side. There may be a couple that are vacant at the moment, but it's plagued.
Tom, you want to talk about the 4 a.m. closing?
Sure. Yeah, I know there are a lot of licenses over there. A lot of those places seem to be places that have covers and they're there are people out in front of them. They seem to be more drink forward, I guess. And, the only security I would have on weekends would be someone to check IDs and kind of make sure no overserved people come in. But, that's part of the neighborhood is kind of late. I worked in this industry and sometimes it's kind of crappy to get out of even a shift and have to end up at McDonald's or something like that. I want to serve good food. It's quite honestly expensive, the place, to be competitive and maintain, I don't know,
Tom,
some.
want to talk about your chef?
Yeah, so I have a friend. His name is Dan Sheffer. He graduated CIA. I met him through a mutual friend. He, I have no formal cooking experience. He's helped me with this menu. We want to add some more to it, but this is definitely the benchmarks that are on it. It's, you know, a lot of cross utilization. I'm proud of it. We didn't just like throw something together. It's, you know, it's thoughtful on my end. You know, it is a lot of late night kind of food. You know, there's nachos, there's pretzels and queso, and, you know, like, you know, things that are comforting and, you know, go well with a glass of wine.
Thanks. Anyone else from the committee have any questions?
Well, if I should butt in again, I don't think that's the label restaurant fits fit your business, and also knowing that you haven't run a full business before, although you have been involved in the business. I personally think those hours are too late if it's a restaurant. If you tell me it's a bar, maybe I'd still want to cut the hours down for at least, you know, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at least. And I still think 4 o'clock is too much, but at least those days it should not be more than at least 2 o'clock in the morning.
I think it's me that responds to this part. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the menu, it's you know, it's food that is meant to be late night. Hopefully one day I can open earlier than 4 and like really build up a lunch crowd. But, you know, burgers, French dip. I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record. It's at least what I look for to eat at night. I think other people feel the same way. And, you know, a lot of, again, I think I heard also that there's, you know, a lot of businesses around it. I don't think, you know, mine is anything like this. Like, I know Niagara's on the corner. I know, you know, Yucca Bar I see that's across the street and down the corner. I mean, when I walk by those late, I mean, there aren't people sitting down eating. There are people standing up, shrieking, and like dance. There's no like dance hall, dance floor. That's not like the concept at all. It's, you know, it's New York City. It's late. You know, I don't want to have to go to Cat's Deli to not get McDonald's. Like, I you know, it's.
Okay, Tom, I think we really need to point out to Herman that he was the full-time manager at that premises for how many years?
Since it opened, it did open in 2017. I was, full-time manager there. You know, I kind of worked my way up. I didn't start as that, but I'm hardworking. I'm an honest guy.
So to say he doesn't have experience really isn't, he may not have owned the place, but he's worked full-time at a place.
Okay, thanks. David, do you have a question?
Yeah, we're going to be able to, okay. I mean, there's no way we can force the license to be other than 4 a.m. But if it really was a restaurant, they really were seating people, is there a way to write that into stipulations? It will maximize the chance that it really operates as a restaurant. I mean, it sounds like it's a place where you drop in to get beers and maybe you get nachos along with it. It's actually the kind of place that I would go to. That's what it is. But as long as people aren't able to, well, as long as they truly are seating people at tables and you're not able to mingle beyond that, it'll be under control, or that'll be a way to control it. Is there a way to do that, Susan or Michelle or someone with more experience on the committee?
Are you saying that you don't want people sitting at the bar?
Standing.
Well, standing at the bar or mingling otherwise. I mean, if I had to go in with a small group and then had to sit at a table, that's going to help keep it controlled, which is what we would want. I would want as a resident.
I mean, you could put in stipulations that that all patrons will be seated. I mean, you can do that if they.
Does that make sense to do, or is that something that's just
That seems like a little
enforceable?
punitive. I don't know. I mean, we're going to enforce that all the time. I don't know. I mean, because just like, here's my take on it. This is a currently licensed space. The SLA is probably not going to claw back. There haven't been like real complaints substantively about, you know, the method of operation. I just don't think that I think it's a losing cause, frankly, but.
Probably so, but August Laura was a problem. It truly was.
But what was the problem? What was the problem?
It was mostly the music outdoors going.
Right, exactly. So that's
Quite
not gonna, yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. I don't think that that's going to help the problem. Music outdoors was legal for a while. It is now 100% totally illegal. The other thing with August Laura, I don't know about at night, but during the day, and I don't know if they had boozy benches, but they certainly had a lot of really drunk people singing at the top of their lungs.
Oh, definitely. It was a party space, and that was.
Yes,
that was what I'm
exactly.
saying. It was
So
terrible.
I think what is needed is that they will stipulate and designate to not let people be loud, particularly outside.
Okay, I mean, I think that makes sense if we're looking to mitigate any problems from the past, rather than the hours, which seem to actually have not been the concern. Does that sound okay,
Frank
David?
has his hand
Yeah,
up.
that would be great if you could do that.
Okay.
somehow. Thanks.
So Susan, what would you suggest? Like, how would you, I mean, we already have closing doors whenever there's, I mean.
Well, but you have screaming, I assume, they're having outdoor seating, right? Or
Right, so
no?
we stipulate already that you can't have speakers or TVs outside.
But we've actually done this, I think, on Second Avenue,
Uh,
designate a staff person to ensure that the customers are not loud.
Yeah, okay.
Supposed to say that.
The old COVID shack was removed. Is there plans to put in a new one?
The
Sorry,
what was removed?
COVID shack, the curbside shack.
So they were removed because
Yeah.
the last owner refused to, due process with his obligations. He refused to remove it. So many people complained that you and I have now paid for removing that.
Yeah, but that's that. So Frank, are they gonna have an outdoor seating?
Yes, I've had my hand up quietly, just so I could add one thing to this.
Yeah,
Susan, I'm not arguing with you, but you know that I represented August Laura. And I think I came to your committee probably in 2019. And what happened was they put a ton of money into the place and COVID came and they literally got destroyed. They were ready to open March of 20. So when they finally got their act together, I understand what happened. I'm not disputing that they did what they did. I'm sure it was some sort of attempt to claw back. I'm not defending it, but I think that's what happened.
9 months
okay,
to do
so
the renovation.
all right. I don't wanna
Plus,
get into the nitty-gritty about
they
this,
were
'cause
just
it's not,
bad business people.
I understand. I
I'm
just
not
don't
arguing
wanna
with you,
get,
Dave. I'm not arguing, I'm just telling you. Yes, we are having outdoor space, and of course we will. Are you planning to use a COVID shed again? Tom?
Yeah, so it would just be for outdoors and stuff like that. I would honestly say the weekend, and yeah, COVID shed, as long as that's allowed. Definitely no TV, definitely no speaker. Anyone who's like, it's going to be a waitress out there. It's not like you'd buy a drink and go out there. So, I mean, a server, anyone can definitely make sure that the noise is, low. I don't foresee that to be an issue at all.
okay, all right, so committee, do you have any
It
objections?
is-
Sorry, go ahead, Susan.
If I could just say, please don't not expect it to be an issue, because it's the nature of the neighborhood. And it will be an issue, and what we're asking you to do is really make an effort to control that.
Okay, I'm definitely, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So does the committee have any objection to adding a stipulation that the applicant will designate an employee to ensure that customers are not loud and disturbing residents? Okay.
In the outdoor space. I mean, indoors it can become a problem too.
Yeah.
but Really, okay, thanks.
Well, don't we want you to speak general?
I actually think it would be particularly to designate outdoors,
Okay.
because you don't always even have a staff person outdoors.
Yeah, okay. Okay, anything else from the
Going on
committee?
with that location, by the way, it was not just August Laura, it was a continuous party from that over to Club Cumming. Especially when Club Cumming was doing their outdoor shows. Anyway, that was also in the mix in the past. Let's move on.
Okay. Anyone else from the committee have any thing to ask or say or add before we go to the anyone from the community? Okay. Is there anyone here from the public to speak on agenda item number 5, 94 Avenue A? Please raise your Zoom hand if you're here for that.
Doesn't look that way.
I don't see anybody. Okay. Okay. I'm going to share. Susan, can you? Okay. I'm going to share my screen so we can go through the stipulations.
Okay, Cheryl.
There is one
Freeman
raised
has
hand.
her- But
Oh.
she doesn't live anywhere near this. I don't know. Is it for this space?
Shirley, are you asking about 159 East Houston, or sorry, 94 Avenue A?
Yeah, 94 Avenue A, which street is it between? That's
It's
what
Sixth
I want to know, because we are being bombarded down here, so which street? Because we got
Sixth
other
Street.
ones coming up too.
6th Street.
Excuse me?
Sixth
6th
Street.
and Avenue A. 6th Street and Avenue A, okay. All right, because we are bombarded over here.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen so we can go through the stipulations. Committee and applicant, please pay attention. So application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for 94 Avenue A, restaurant serving American comfort food with a kitchen open and serving food within 1 hour of closing, opening no later than 4 p.m. Monday to Friday and 11 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closing by 4 a.m. all days. Sidewalk Cafe is closing by 10 p.m. 1 security guard, security personnel on weekends, installs soundproofing as necessary in addition to existing soundproofing. Will close any front or rear facade doors and windows at 10 p.m. every night. So no live music, no promote events, no event with a cover fee, no scheduled performances, no more than 3 private parties per month. Frank, is it no DJs? I think that you didn't check that.
You want to keep reading, Michelle? I'll let you know in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Ambient recorded background music only.
It is
No,
DJ. It is
sorry?
DJs. It is DJs, my bad.
Okay, can you tell me how many times you're planning to do that?
Thomas, weekends,
Yeah, just Saturday and
Friday and Saturday?
Thursday. No, not yes, Friday and Saturday. I want to be safe. Friday and Saturday.
So it's definitely not a restaurant.
That's it.
Definitely not.
Maybe
Well-
we should change the category
No, it's a restaurant.
with DJs.
What kind of a DJ plays in a restaurant? Or what kind of restaurant has what kind of a DJ?
It exists. I'll put it that way. I don't think that, I
Well,
think if that's
I
a
mean,
concern,
yeah,
Susan, I
bars
just
have
want to let the committee.
Restaurants have become very, very noisy. It's true. I can't go in a few in that neighborhood.
I would just say that if he's there, we've talked about this many, many times. If he's still playing ambient recorded background music, it's not any different than if someone is playing it off an iPod. No unlimited drink specials, happy hour till 7 p.m., no wait lines, staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering. Close all outdoor dining allowed under temporary open restaurants and any subsequent uses by 10 p.m., no speakers or TV monitors. And as Susan said, this is a really big concern because of how noisy the streets can get. And so you'll designate an employee to ensure that outdoor customers are not loud and disturbing residents. Committee applicants, does that all sound good?
What time does the outdoor close?
10 p.m.
Okay,
I'm fine with it, Tom.
Yeah, I'm perfectly reasonable.
Okay, committee, any concerns? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hearing no further objections, I'm going to move this to a vote, voting on 94 Avenue A. Michelle, yes. David,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Herman.
Abstain on this one.
Okay, thank you. So the motion carries. We'll send you the stipulations tomorrow, and please get them back the Friday before our full board meeting. We're having our meeting early this month. Sorry about that, everybody.
When,
Okay,
when is the board meeting?
I don't know, look it up on the calendar.
Okay.
Last week of the month. We're just doing this
Okay.
meeting early because the online version of meetings will expire at the end of this week. So we're giving
you.
everyone the chance to do it on Zoom. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for
Thank you
coming.
all. Thank you for your consideration, Michelle.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Susan, did you see if there was any, I feel like people didn't actually sign in.
No new chats.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out if they're like a group of, I mean, a hotel. Okay, I'm gonna do the next one. We'll get to the hotel shortly, but I'm gonna try and knock some easier ones out first so that people can get out of here. Is the applicant for Waypoint Cafe number 365 Ludlow Street here?
Hello.
Hi. Okay, I'm just gonna drop the questionnaire in the chat so everyone can look at it as we go through. Before I'll hit the high points and then give the applicants a moment, a chance to clarify if necessary, and then the committee. Okay. This is an application for a wine beer license for Waypoint Cafe NYC at 65 Ludlow Street, which is a internet and gaming cafe, which has been open since 2017. It's across the street from the former Stewart Park High School, which has now been split up into lots of Bloombergian smaller high schools and schools. This applicant has never previously been a license holder. There have been no 301 complaints here. 14 residents signed a petition in favor. The reason why they're coming before us, I believe, not for administrative approval, is because they want to be open till 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, but closed by 10 p.m. Sunday to Thursday. No outdoor space. I also have 2 questions for the applicant for, So one is, how many seats are at the bar?
There is at the counter space, there are no seats at the counter space.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then this is a question that we ask everyone. You have your opening hours of 8 a.m. Do you actually intend to open every day at 8 a.m. because your license will stipulate that you must be open by 8 a.m. if you say that?
Yes, we do open every day at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Mainly because we serve coffee, tea, things like that for the morning crowd.
Okay. Okay, great. And that's accurate, 10 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, closing 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Does anyone from the committee have any questions about this? It's a wine beer. Okay. Anyone here from the public to speak on this item? Number 365 Ludlow Street, Waypoint Cafe. It's an existing gaming cafe on Ludlow Street. Okay. Not seeing any hands. Not saying I'm very surprised by that. Okay. I'm gonna share the stipulations so we can run through them quickly. Make sure everything's correct. Okay. Application for 65 Ludlow Street, wine, beer, and cider. It's a internet gaming cafe. Opening no later than 8 a.m. all days and closing by 10 p.m. Sunday to Thursday and 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday. No outdoor space. Will always have a closed fixed facade. No DJs, no live music, no promote events, no event with a cover fee, no scheduled performances. Ambient record background music only. No unlimited drink specials. If they have a happy hour, it will be end by 7. No wait lines. No, a staff person will be responsible for ensuring no loitering outside. And manager's information is here for any residents. Does that look right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Anyone from the committee have any concerns about this? Okay. Great. All right, moving this to a vote. Number 3, 165 Ludlow Street, wine beer. Michelle, yes. David,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. We'll send you your stipulations tomorrow. Please sign and return them the Friday, by the Friday before the full meeting. All the instructions will be in the email.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do number 3, 92 Second Avenue now. Are the applicants here? For the
Yes.
ramen?
Is this for EK Food Services Inc?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I'm the attorney and applicant Ochi Mochizuki is here as well.
Hi, sorry for giving you a heart attack this weekend.
Oh, no, it's all right. Thank you for the confirmation.
Yeah. Okay. Dropping the questionnaire here. Okay. So again, this is number 4, 92 Second Avenue. I dropped the questionnaire in the chat. Committee, you have access to all the draft resolutions, of course. Okay, so this is an application for an upgrade to a full on-service premises liquor license for 92 Second Avenue, the South storefront, EK Food Services doing business as Marufuku Ramen. Certificate of occupancy of 70 people, 17 tables with 36 seats, a 36-foot bar with 15 seats that serves Japanese food, specifically ramen, full service kitchen, open all hours, ambient recorded background music only. They've been operating since November 2021 with no complaints known to the office or to 311. 32 residents who live within 2 blocks signed a petition in favor. They open at 11:30 all days, closing by 12 a.m. Sunday to Thursday and 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday. There, of course, will close any outdoor dining by 10 p.m., which is our standard stipulation. Nothing else out of the ordinary. Anything I missed there?
Nope, that's about it. And I also want to add that most of signature came from people who visited the store, the restaurant.
Okay, great. Any questions from the committee?
No change in hours, right?
So it was last stipulated that we close at 12, but we would like to extend the time to 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Got you.
And you're not currently using outdoor right now, right? Is that?
We have sidewalk, but we don't
Okay.
use the roadside. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that the people next door had already taken it. Okay, cool. Any questions from the committee? Anyone here from the public to speak on this item? Number 4, 92 Second Avenue, Marufuku Ramen. Please raise your Zoom hand if you're here. I don't think I saw anyone sign in, but. Okay. I'm going to share the stipulations in that case. We didn't receive any letters before the meeting either.
I believe the Block Association talked to them and they're okay.
Oh, okay.
We did,
I didn't-
yes.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, we didn't get any notes, so.
Yeah, it was actually this morning. They
Oh,
responded.
okay.
Yep.
There you go, that's why. Okay. All right, so as we said, this is a liquor, wine, beer, and cider license for EK Food Services at 92 Second Avenue, the South Store. Japanese food specializing in ramen, kitchen open all days, all the time. Opening no later than 11:30 a.m. and closing by 12 a.m. Sunday to Thursday and 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Any outdoor dining will close by 10 p.m. They'll close their front or rear facade doors at 10 p.m. No DJs, no live music, no promoted events, no event with a cover fee, no scheduled performances. Ambient recorded background music only. No alterations without coming back here. No boozy brunches or other drink specials with food. If they have a happy hour, we'll end by 7. No wait lines. We'll have a staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering, and the manager's information will be readily available for folks if they have issues. Any concerns or questions about that?
Looks great.
Okay, committee, you're good? If you're not, let me know. Okay. Okay, hearing no objections to this, I'm going to move this to a vote. Again, voting on 92 Second Avenue, Marufuku Ramen. Michelle, yes. Excuse me, David. Paul.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes, yes.
Okay, David, gotcha. Jamie,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeanette.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, this motion carries. We will send you the stipulations tomorrow.
Thank you.
guys
Thank
for
you,
coming.
everyone. Have a great night.
Okay. Let's check my email quickly. David, can I enlist you to count petition signatures for Bar Veloce?
I'm gonna have to open it up, but
Also, I'm sending it to you now.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Could you send it to me also so I have record of it for the
Sure.
office?
Yep. Should I send it to you and Ed?
No, just me.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, am I supposed to be determining if they're close enough? Is that part of this?
Yes, within 2 blocks. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going in order. Number 7, Next Best LLC, 188 Avenue B, are the applicants here?
Yes, we're here.
Yes, Tracy John, attorney here as well.
Hi. Okay. Let me just drop the question in the chat for everyone to look at. Okay, this is number 7, 188 Avenue B, Next Best LLC, which is seeking a full on-premises license at 188 Avenue B between 12th and 13th Street. 5 tables with 30 seats and 1 15-foot bar. Cafe, light fare prepared in a food prep area, available from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. Is that right?
We think the food will be available till close.
Oh, okay, thanks.
I apologize. I think the until midnight was to have a full-time chef there, but food will be available all hours of sale.
Okay, thank you. And no TVs?
No TVs.
There are no 2 days.
Okay. 4 100-watt speakers with ambient background music during the day and karaoke at night. There are 12 full on-premises licenses within 500 feet. This location was until recently Ave B, which was a bar specializing in jazz performances that closed at 4 a.m. every night. This is sort of my understanding, a mixed history here, because obviously Avenue B, despite it being an avenue, is actually quite narrow and has narrow sidewalks. So there would be people crowding on the sidewalks, and occasionally sound would bleed when music was played with the windows open. We last heard it at Committee Board 3 in October 2020 for a transfer, and then it received conditional approval from the SLA, but then has since closed. Our applicants tonight previously operated Baby Grand on Lafayette and Grand, right? That would make sense, Baby Grand. There was 1 relevant 301 complaint there since 2018. At this location, 188 Avenue B, we found 24 commercial 301 complaints with NYPD action necessary since 2018. We received 2 letters in opposition to this application because of quality of life issues caused by the previous operator. 22 residents who live within 2 blocks, including 5 residents of 188 Avenue B, signed a petition in favor. They are asking for 4 a.m. closure all night, same as the previous applicant. And are you intending to use outdoor dining?
They have a garden in the back that they have stipulated they will close at 10 p.m. And they don't have sidewalk seating, and they're not participating in Open New York.
Okay, so backyard closing at 10.
That's correct. And the place before had its own soundproofing. Well, they submitted some stuff that they are increasing the soundproofing. But as well, they have sealed doors and sealed windows. They do have alcohol service at night, but to give a little flavor for the business, it essentially is operating as a coffee bar, like a Starbucks during the day, where people can come get light fare, sit there, work. However, in order to pay the rent in Manhattan, they need to have extended hours. So they would like to add alcohol service in the evening and late night. But again, we point out there's 30 seats here, no entertainment outside, no live music performance. There's no promoters, there's, not lines. They have no advertised events. It is more in the style of, a place where somebody might get up and instead of doing a poetry reading, they happen to style themselves to allow a little bit of karaoke, but it is a very small, again, no live, no, having no lines outside. They have 30 seats, nothing outdoors late at night at all. So they are asking for a full liquor license in order to make this a viable business at this location, but it's not a nightclub at all.
Okay, so I actually have a couple of questions. So if you're gonna have karaoke, but how are you gonna do it without TVs?
They have a small monitor for the words, but there's not TVs like sports TVs.
Okay.
It's a very small box that sits in front of people.
Got it. Okay.
Mounted TVs where you would watch.
Okay, and in your application, you actually did write that you wanted to have lines.
We addressed that, as they indicated, they've operated more than one location. There's never been a line ever, but they said if in fact they ever did something where there was a line, then they would put staff out there, and have security to avoid that. But with 30 seats and no advertising, they've never had a line out front ever. And they've operated 2 other locations of this that just closed during COVID.
Okay, so here's my concern about that, which is we do not allow lines outside here.
I can add some context to this if that's helpful.
Sure, go ahead.
We don't want lines outside either, and we will be having security on the weekends. But our plan is to, if there is a point at which we have hit our capacity and people also want to come inside, we would prefer to take their phone number down or some contact information down from someone in their group so that we can contact them when we do have space available for them and give them a sort of 15-minute window that they can come in and take the space that we've cleared for them. But we are not going to have lines outside, and we won't have any place for people to gather if we're at capacity and they're trying to come inside.
Okay, yeah, because yes, I'm just reading the security on the weekends, busier nights will manage outdoor lines, and if needed, we'll put up stanchions. That raised a red flag to me because we really do not allow that here, especially like I said, Avenue B is not actually it's not like Lafayette, it's not an avenue with wide sidewalks and a lot of space for pedestrians and folks to walk by. So avenue is also a misnomer in this context.
Yeah, we won't be doing.
Okay, so you will only.
Yes, that was just an overabundance of trying to let everybody know that if ever there were people out there, the business would do what was responsible to avoid any crowding on the sidewalk.
Okay, so you will utilize, is it safe to say you will utilize a reservations and texting system or just a texting system?
We prefer to start with the texting system, and if it needs to get more advanced than that, we're happy to do it. But I think the texting should be sufficient for this.
Okay.
But we'll stipulate no lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So committee, this is just the typical stipulation we would use in this case, which is I will utilize a texting system to ensure that patrons do not block the sidewalk in front of the premises.
Perfectly unacceptable.
And what do you intend to have security for?
Well, if we find that it's a little busier on Fridays and Saturdays as we expect it to be, then we want to use security to keep people from gathering in front and also to support our staff in maintaining the kind of atmosphere we want to have on the inside. We want to create a sort of a singing bar atmosphere, or sorry, like a singing bar. But we want to use the security to help us maintain the level of sound that we are going for. It's karaoke, but it has a little bit more of a mature quality to it. We're going to ask most people to be sitting down. It's going to be sort of like a cocktail bar, but there will be sort of a center of attention around someone singing along.
So is it kind of like, if we remember like Winnie's, where it was like one room and people would sing incidentally kind of thing, not like separate rooms, obviously?
It's not private rooms, it's one room, but I wouldn't necessarily compare it to Winnie's. I think it's going to be a lot more tame than that. If I could say, it's like a jazz club in a way, but there's no live instruments. It's just the person singing is the only live element.
Okay. Susan, do you have any context for the background, the backyard that with Ruby? Was that, because I know that Jose Luis next door uses their backyard.
I don't remember any complaints about the backyard. I do remember, particularly during the shutdown, problems in front, but I don't have any reported problems from the back.
Okay.
We won't be doing any music in the backyard.
Right. Okay. No music, no speakers, no singing.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else from the committee have any questions? Clarification here?
Question, from the way you describe the operation, you're looking for, you know, a Marie's Crisis-esque sort of like vibe. Is that what it is, rather than what one would consider a traditional karaoke bar?
Well, we won't have like a piano player. I think Marie's Crisis is the one that has a piano player, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not in the sense that there will be like total communal singing. I think that's often what occurs there, is it's sort of a sing-along with someone. It'll be karaoke in the sense that it'll be a recorded track that someone sings over. But we're trying to avoid the impression that most people get from a sort of unruly, drunk karaoke atmosphere that is often associated with that word. So it's karaoke in the sense that you sign up for a song, it's your choice. There'll be a recorded track that you sing over, but that isn't the type of atmosphere we're trying to create. So it's a little more toned down than that. There are some places in the West Village that I think are a good example of it, but I don't know that Marie's Crisis is exactly the impression I want to give you.
What would you say if you've got other examples?
I suppose it's unique. I don't have a specific example I can give you, but I think from our perspective, it's sort of a cocktail bar first. And if you can imagine that atmosphere, and then inside that atmosphere, there is music playing that someone is singing rather than just the recorded track that you're listening to. So there is a performance element, and thus it is karaoke.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Anyone else from the committee have any questions? Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to any members of the public who'd like to speak. Please raise your hand if you're here to speak on this item, and I'll call on you in the order I see you. Okay. Okay, the first hand I see is Laura Sewell. Laura, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to clarify that Ruby didn't use their backyard. They built something back there, but they didn't use it. To my knowledge, that the reason there are no complaints about their backyard is they didn't use the backyard, period. So I wanted to clarify that. I also I want to share that, you know, this is an older building with the brick walls on the ground floor. The glass, even if you seal it, even if the windows are closed. It's not a modern construction building, and the sound travels. The sound travels to adjoining buildings, it travels to the street, and the residents of this block have just lived with, you know, someone basically doing business on the sidewalk for a very, very, very long time. And the daytime aspect of this business is very attractive for us, of course, but the karaoke, I don't know how you can define what kind of karaoke you're having. If you give somebody a microphone and they've had a bit to drink, and they're going to be loud, and I just don't see how, you know, no matter what atmosphere you're trying to create, you can really control that in this neighborhood. And these people have just been through a lot already. The residents of the building, the residents of the adjacent buildings, and all the residents of the block, and all the residents of 12th Street behind them. So I cannot urge you enough not to permit karaoke with this particular business model. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. I just want to say, so just so the committee knows, when the transfer was done in October 2020, the backyard was approved for use from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Just so you guys know. Oops, sorry. Okay, next hand I see is Jim.
If I could speak to some of her concerns. As
Sure,
far as
quickly,
how we
please.
can limit the types of volume. Well, beyond the soundproofing that we're installing in there, which is considerable, we also can use certain equipment to something called a compressor limiter that can function as basically a ceiling or a shelf at which no volume can go past. And we have the ability to literally keep it at a specific ceiling for volume with a piece of equipment like that.
Okay, thanks. The next hand I see is Jim. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your last name. Jim
That's
P.
good.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
I'm Jim. This is Lois.
I'm Lois. Thank you, Chair Cooper Smith and committee members for giving us the chance to speak. We live at 190 Avenue B, next door to 188 Avenue B. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and Jim. He may have some additional brief remarks. We submitted a written response to you last Thursday, so we're only going to summarize here. We do want to make it clear that we are not opposing this application because we're anti-business. Quite the opposite. We're very pro-business, very supportive of many of our local businesses, like Amara Bar directly below our apartment, and 11B Pizza, whose owners live in the neighborhood, and they are very, very responsive to the neighbors' concerns. They are good neighbors to us, and we are good neighbors to them. And this is nothing personal about the new applicants. We haven't met you, but our concerns are based solely on this type of business, in this kind of space, and in this kind of location. I have 5 main points of concern. The first one, of course, the serious problems with the previous music nightclub in that location, Ruby. There were many, many noise complaints over the years by us and by many other people. The music didn't just bleed out of open windows. It actually came through the structure, through the sides of the building, to the point where we were listening to Ruby's jazz bands coming out of our toilet.
Also, the doors and the windows were open year round.
Doors and windows open year round. It wasn't an occasional opening. They were continuously open, as was the basement door, because apparently it's hot down there. Our upstairs neighbors were driven from their rent-stabilized apartment because of the incessant, intolerable loud music and threats from the previous business owners. And we too were subjected to these threats. They were real, they were serious. I believe the NYPD took action on 15 noise complaints in the previous year, something like that. Many more were made. The garden in back was never used by Ruby. That's why there were no complaints back there.
And to get to the garden in the back, you have to go through what Ruby was using as a kitchen. So obviously you can't have people walking through a hot kitchen to get to the door to the backyard. They never solved that problem. That's why they never used it.
We put up a wall in the kitchen to avoid that, but I hear you.
Okay, but how do you get to the backyard?
So there's a wall between the kitchen and the door now?
Okay, it's
That's
a
right.
tiny kitchen.
Okay. Our second point is the applicant's previous karaoke club, Baby Grand at 161 Lafayette Street. There are numerous Yelp reviews, mostly from outer boroughs and out of state, that mention loud music, very high volume, high decibel levels, live band karaoke, large crowds inside and outside, bouncers outside, heavy drinking, people not seated, jammed in, standing up, everyone singing and screaming together. I do know what a compressor is, but I don't know how that could possibly affect unamplified loud voices of people singing along, yelling along together. Our third concern is the inappropriate physical space for a music-based business requesting nightclub hours. As was previously mentioned, they're bare brick walls, old building, very difficult, maybe impossible to soundproof. The previous owners claim to have spent tens of thousands of dollars on soundproofing. It didn't work. I believe the previous business proved this was a 20-year experiment, and they proved that this is not a suitable place for a music club. In addition, the sidewalk is extremely narrow. There's no room for these crowds of people, bouncers, people lined up. What about those people who smoke? Where are they going to be smoking? Cigarettes and pot now? Where are they going to be doing this?
If you guys could wrap it up, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, fourth issue, it's an inappropriate residential location surrounded by neighbors. It's not the coffee shop we're concerned with, it's the late night music, and it does not add to the community. The area is saturated with bars. There is another karaoke club 1 block away, and there's more karaoke down Avenue A. There's been a license granted, I believe, to a previously unlicensed storefront at 186 Avenue B. There are many licenses, as you mentioned, 3 bars in a row on the same side of 1 short residential block. We went through so much noise and disturbance for so long with the previous business. I trust that the committee's going to act for the benefit of the people who live here. Thank
Okay,
you
thank you.
very much for your careful consideration.
Okay, thanks. The next hand I see is Stephen.
Hey,
Go ahead.
how you doing? I just want to say my name is Stephen Ing. I live on 47 Ludlow Street. So I have friends that live in the building near 188 Avenue B, and I've been a frequent guest at their home. And I have witnessed the very loud music from Ruby that travels into their apartment. And I have also witnessed the harassment of tenants by the Ruby owners over noise complaints. Also, before the pandemic, I used to frequent a place on Lafayette Street called The Ship. That was across the street from Baby Grand. And I used to see large crowds of people gathered outside the place, people lined up to get in, people smoking. And when I would walk by, I could hear them screaming. I could hear the music coming through the door. And I was outside walking by. I mean, I would not want to live near that, and I don't want my friends to either. It's not appropriate for a residential area. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. The next hand I see is Clint. Clint, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say I used to live next door in 186. My apartment was on the 5th floor on the north side of the building that abutted 188. And, you know, even with their doors and windows closed and it wasn't a crazy loud night at Ruby, the sound traveled up through those buildings. They're very old tenement buildings and they weren't constructed very well. I know, you know, this new applicant has mentioned that they're putting in additional soundproofing, which I'm sure will help, but it is, you know, the noise from Ruby. So another, you know, restaurant or bar in that location, I can't say would be a bad thing, but the karaoke, because the voices just carry from karaoke through glass, I just think that would be a nightmare for the people now currently living in those buildings. And also just the acoustics across from the large building across the street. It's kind of like a sound canyon there. So I just wanted to voice my concern that I lived next door for many years and it was not a good thing with Ruby there. Thanks.
Thanks, Clint. The next hand I see is Patricia. Patricia, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I'm totally excited about the prospect of this group operation opening up. I was not aware that there's a karaoke bar down the street. I'm a frustrated coloratura soprano, and I love the idea of getting a chance to sing in the neighborhood. So I just want to say I really support the this business going forward. Thank you.
Thanks. Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about the fact that this is a very old building with sound traveling. Just our experience with these kind of buildings is that it's almost impossible to soundproof. And I'm wondering if the applicant would commit to having a sound engineer come in first and see what they could do so that there will be no sound audible in any of the apartments, because I'm really not sure this can be done. We've in the past had applicants, when they did have a sound engineer come in, ended up withdrawing because the expense would have been so incredible to actually soundproof it. I would just want to suggest that I don't know how you could possibly in these old buildings have the sound not be audible otherwise. And I would also, I don't know if they have a C of O for the backyard. Has Department of Buildings come in and inspected the egress and given a C of O?
I
We're-
believe
We're still
believe
waiting for our letter. It's like-
requested it, so that is being worked on. You know, one of the things, you know, to respond a little is I've heard a lot of the complaints about the past owner. These aren't the past owners and not the same style of business nor operators. A lot of the complaints seem to be that they had open windows, open doors, and there was a lot of noise happening out in the street. But these operators are not participating in Open New York. They don't have sidewalk seating at all. And in the back, there is absolutely no music, and that's closing at 10. So it sounds as if a lot of the complaints were to do with a previous operator, not really to do with this business model. And
But if you heard what I said, it wasn't about that at all. It was about experience with these old buildings in this community. I don't live nearby. I'm just talking about experience with having sound engineers come in and try and soundproof these old buildings just for normal music sound. So I'm not basing this on former complaints at all.
So what Susan's asking is, will you commit to the sound engineer study to make sure there could be no sound audible?
Yeah, and just to add a little bit too, we've been in there for a few weeks now looking at what was left behind by the previous owners. And I can definitely confirm that there was not a single ounce of soundproofing put in by the previous owners. And we have every intention of trying to work with anybody who has an issue with it. And we will bring a sound engineer in. And we are open to take comments from anybody if it's not good enough yet. We don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to be a disturbance to anybody, the neighbors upstairs or across the street otherwise. And this is, like Tracy said, we are not Ruby, and Baby Grand was a different business. It's a completely different thing than what we're trying to do here. But I completely understand the concerns, and we want to be available to address them genuinely. I'm happy to provide anybody my phone number and respond to them immediately.
Okay, so what we've done in the past that has worked is have the sound engineer work with people in their apartments and have limits set so that there is nothing audible, and have everybody agree that there's not audible sound.
Can we let actually Paul, do you want to weigh on this, because you have done this? We've talked about soundproofing before.
Doesn't matter, Susan's right. Doesn't matter how many engineers you bring. It was a contract for 20 years. I'm telling you, it's not gonna work. It doesn't matter unless the speakers are super small with no bass. No matter what you do in a building like that, and Susan's right, it's gonna go to the top floor. It's impossible.
Yeah, the plan was to have the speakers, the small speakers, be ceiling mounted and pointed downwards with additional insulation supporting the speakers, because if you can distribute the sound through a larger number of speakers.
It doesn't matter. You know that I know this. We're just talking just to talk. People are gonna be annoyed upstairs. You know it. And especially the times that you're asking, it's nuts. It's not that people still think like that. And I'm in the business, so it's not like I disagree, but we all know it's karaoke. Doesn't matter how much you control it. It's gonna go through the building. So just find another building.
Okay, David, I see your, sorry, go ahead, Susan.
I'm coming from the standpoint of really trying to save you from being stuck. We have had applicants in exactly this situation who have later, after working with the electrical engineer, asked to withdraw their application. Actually, they came to me and asked the board to deny it because they couldn't meet their stipulations, because the only way they could get out of the lease situation was for the community board to deny it. So I'm really speaking from past experience to try and not have you get stuck.
David, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also feel that the location will be problematic. I think Susan's warning you, Paul's warning you. But I will also say that I don't think that there's an adverse history situation with the SLA. So the board doesn't really have a lot of leverage to actually say, please deny this at the SLA. However, we can put in a stipulation about we'll get a sound engineer, we'll do what they say, we'll prevent sound. Could you read that standard stipulation, Michelle?
Yeah.
What the applicant
Well,
really
do you want
needs.
to just let Susan address the first part of your statement?
Yeah, I don't know that there's not complaints. There have been a lot of serious complaints and from Ruby, and I don't know what the SLA has or doesn't have.
Okay, well, that is interesting. So, okay, thank you. But could you read the
Yes,
Susan?
So the standard stipulation we would say is it will install soundproofing as necessary in consultation with a sound engineer, so no sound from the premises is audible in surrounding apartments.
And I'm saying that's a high bar, given the construction. I live in a similar building that was built in 1850. You know, I'm familiar with the problem as well. Not that location, but the problem.
So in the event that we struggle to meet that stipulation, we can still operate as a cocktail bar serving cocktails and wine. We just can't do karaoke until we can satisfy that. Is that true?
You can't do karaoke or anything that's going to be audible in the apartments.
Okay.
It's really, you're really getting yourself in trouble.
Anyone else on the committee have any questions or comments?
I mean, will a reduction in hours, will requirements for windows and doors to be closed at all times during performances, will that, I mean, that might go at least a little bit of a way towards rectifying an issue that we can only do so much to fix.
Well, I would say that the problem sounds like though that the sound travels within the building. So the closing the windows won't mitigate that. And even if it's like, I don't know, I'm just making this up. If we say 2 a.m., that's still like quite late for someone to sound like they're singing in your bedroom. Or as someone said, from their toilet. So that's my concern. And I mean, hearing from Paul about like soundproofing. I mean, he said that this is not the first time he said that. He said that many, many times over the past year and a half, about that. It's basically actually impossible to soundproof fully. My gut on this is that this is a mismatch for the location, which is not something that's happened before. As Susan said, people have actually come back and said, please deny us, because we've realized that subsequently it's not the right place for our method of operation. And as I said at the very beginning of this, Avenue B is really a misnomer. It's really not an avenue. I mean, it's mixed use residential and old buildings. And we would never approve something like this on like East 6th Street, for example, and it feels like this is quite similar to that. So I shouldn't say we should never, but we would I would suspect that we would not approve this if it were on a residential side street, which is what this is closer to than say like Lafayette Street. And I understand that it's a different method of operation from what they were doing on Lafayette Street, but just given all of the complaints from music at the last location, like any singing seems concerning to me. I don't know if anyone else from the committee has similar feelings or.
I agree with you, Michelle. I agree with you, and I think the res has been through enough. And you know, when we talk about closing the doors at 10, I have really good managers that I grew up with for years, and still I have to go there at 10 something and be like, dude, you forgot. Oh, I'm so sorry. The I'm so sorry is people can't sleep. So, you know, the hours are too extended to begin with.
Okay, David, what are you thinking?
Well, I think we could, well, I don't know what the rest of the committee feels. I think we could consider a motion to ask the SLA to deny the application and talk about the, well, the sound problems in the building. I don't know what's going to really, well, there is a sound problem history, which is backed up by, certainly by 311 complaints. I don't know what we have to say to make the SLA aware of that history. You know, it's when I said earlier, there's no adverse history for the location with the SLA. That's if we can make a case, can we word that?
But if the applicant agreeing to the stipulation to work with the sound engineer, which is very different than saying you're just gonna vote to decline.
It certainly is very different. And I actually would prefer that we vote to decline. My backup position would be to add the stipulation. The fact is, I don't believe that you will be able to soundproof it adequately. It will be a noise problem for the residents in that building, no matter how hard you try. Because if you give me the mic, you know, I can carry a tune. It's not a pretty voice, but it's loud, and I like it.
But there also
is it's going to cause a problem for the neighbors. And
okay, thanks, David.
If we were to agree, I'm sorry to interrupt. If we were to agree to not do the karaoke until we could find a solution with that, can we still operate?
But I think what we're saying is that we don't expect there to be a solution. And in our experience, when applicants come up with a vision of what they want to do as a method of operation, and they end up doing it regardless, if that makes sense. And we are, I think, I personally, at least, I'm too skittish. We have that happening on Lower Avenue B right now. The applicants swore up and down that they were not going to do the exact thing that they're doing right now. So we, you know, when you come with a business plan that requires certain elements, but then you're told no, I think what we're saying is we don't expect you to find a solution to this because of the previous problems and just the reality of the actual physical space.
Right.
Michelle says it's really about matching. It's not about your business. It's about whether it's a good match for that building in that neighborhood.
And I mean, I at least think that the answer is it's a mismatch. It sounds like David agrees with that. Paul agrees with that. I don't know if Jeanette or Herman or Jamie or Jesse want to weigh in on this.
Well, I disagree with the karaoke idea totally now and for the future in that building. That's just what I have to say about that.
Okay. Jeanette, Jesse, Jamie. I don't know, did Jamie have to leave actually? We lost Jamie, Jesse, or Jeanette. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Yeah, I don't have a constructive suggestion to amend this to, or yeah. I'll defer to the judgment of the people who are, I don't know, who have like something more concrete to suggest, but I don't know.
How are you leaning?
I would have been fine with it until like midnight on weekends and then no karaoke on weekdays. That sounds very footloose of me. So I don't know. I don't think that's like an amenable suggestion anyway to any party. So
we're happy to reduce our hours significantly and not do karaoke at all, period. And just be the bar that we are also trying to be. And in the meantime, just completely separate of this conversation, if we can find someone to help us or at least tell us that that's not possible, then, you know, we'll leave it alone if that's what they say. But if they say that it is and there's something we can do, then we will come back to you and ask for permission given what they've told us or what we've done to the space. So we leave karaoke completely off the table and reduce the hours so that we can still operate there as a business, just not as a karaoke business.
You do realize you have to close like 2 months just to do the construction. So basically what you're saying is you're gonna open up a place, then you're gonna close for 2 months, do the construction, and then go back to operating. If it happens, you do realize.
Yes.
I think he was saying that you're going to have the engineer come in first and give you an opinion first.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is find a way that we can open the business just altogether. And we're kicking the karaoke down the road indefinitely. And if there is an engineer who has some idea about how we can remedy this, then we will pursue that at that time. But for the purposes of this conversation, we are essentially removing karaoke from the option, because we still are primarily a cocktail bar. And that's what we want to do as a business here.
And then if there is a solution with a sound engineer, they can come back with a method of operation change and the sound engineer's report at that time.
We've signed a long-term lease and we anticipate being here for the entirety of it.
Do you have a clause to get out of it if you're denied?
I don't think we do.
That's the problem.
Okay. What out, like, I was thinking reducing till 2 a.m. all nights. Would that be amenable? Just so then I'll pull the,
Yes, for us it would be.
all right. Herman, what do you think?
Repeat that for me again.
I was proposing closing 2 a.m. out indoors.
That's fine with me.
Okay, that's what is next door as well. Anyone from the committee have any concerns about that 2 a.m. all nights if we make that amendment from 4 a.m.?
You have to do something with the sound. I
We've
mean,
already done a
if
considerable
some-
amount with the soundproofing, and we were waiting for your commentary to finish the job. But that we have every intention of continuing with what the plan is, irrespective of the karaoke.
So they'll still work with the neighbors to not have audible sound with the engineer.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's talk about the backyard then now, guys, if we're okay with that, 2 a.m. David, do you have any concerns about that? No karaoke 2 a.m. soundproofing?
The karaoke component is struck completely and it's 2 a.m. and it still has the clause about sound engineer and not audible, then let's move on.
Okay.
And they need a C of O.
Yes, I have that in there pending certificate of occupancy of the backyard. Well, we're moving to the backyard now. Okay, so they're asking for 10 p.m. closing of the backyard. The committee had approved this location for that in October 2020. It does not seem like they ever actually used it, however. Susan, you have not gotten complaints about Jose Luis, right?
About what?
Jose Luis, which is right next door.
No, I don't.
They have a backyard.
Not that I remember.
I'm pretty sure that the backyard abuts the park, right? There's like a park there, or like a, excuse me, like a.
There's a playground.
I lose my words. Playground. Yes, thank you. That's the word.
So the reason that the former place didn't use the backyard is because they didn't have a C of O.
Okay. But did they ever try to get one? We don't know.
Well, they couldn't have if they didn't do the construction that the current applicant is doing. There was no way they could have gotten one. So they've done new construction now that they think will make it okay.
And if it's not on the C of O, it can't be in the SLA either.
Well, no, it's now they're letting you do it with like out having it.
Yeah, they changed that law, but we're just
But the
talking.
backyard would be different though, right?
They changed the law, but we should stipulate they cannot use the backyard without.
Yeah,
a
so
CFO
it may
for the
only use the backyard with a valid C of O.
Yeah, the SLA changed everything about CFOs.
I don't think they removed the requirement of the C of O. I think what they said was it's taking a long time to get them in the city of New York. So they would allow you to temporarily operate, but they will not.
For a couple of years, for a couple of years.
That's not temporary.
It's 2 years until the renewal. That means 2 years.
Okay, so if I would here, let me see if I can drop this in the chat so everyone can, so that the committee can see like what I mean, that there's no residents behind is what I'm trying to say, the backyard. And I've been to the Jose Luis backyard and I was also like, oh, I didn't even realize. So there's no one behind it, which is like often our concern about backyards, just flagging that. So I don't know if anyone from the committee has any comments on that. The backyard, 10 p.m., no music, of course, no speakers. No. Anyone have any objections to the backyard?
10 o'clock, it's okay with me.
Okay, David.
It's got no sound whatsoever.
Well, just humans.
Oh, well, exactly. It's not going to be an echo chamber. Okay.
Herman.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the 10 p.m. backyard closure, using the backyard?
I wish they wouldn't have to use the backyard, but if it's anywhere legal, 10 p.m. should be it.
Okay. Okay, anyone else from the committee? Okay. All right, I'm fine with the backyard too, so it sounds like we're okay with it as long as they have a valid C of O. Okay, sound good, committee?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we've changed a bunch of stuff since we did it. So I'm just gonna share my screen with the stipulations so we can run through this. So please, everyone, pay attention. Applicants and committee. Okay. So application for a liquor, wine, beer, and cider license at 188 Avenue B. They will operate a cocktail bar and cafe, opening no later than 8 a.m. all days and closing by 2 a.m. all days. Outdoor space will be backyard only. They will employ a doorman or security person on the weekends to keep patrons from crowding the sidewalk. They will install soundproofing as necessary in consultation with the sound engineer, so no sound from the premises is audible in surrounding apartments. They will close any front or rear facade doors and windows at 10 p.m. every night or when amplified sound is playing. They will not have DJs, live music, promoted events, any event at which a cover fee is charged, scheduled performances, and no karaoke. They'll play ambient recorded background music only. They'll not apply it to an alteration to this method of operation without coming back here. They will not participate in pub crawls or party buses. They'll not have unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches with food, no happy hours, no wait lines, staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering. They will utilize a texting system to ensure that patrons do not crowd the sidewalk in front of the premises. It may only use the backyard with a valid C of O for commercial outdoor usage, closing at 10 p.m. all nights, no music, no speakers, no singing. Does that all sound right, Tracy and Gregory?
Yes.
Okay. David, go ahead.
I was paying attention. Is the bit in there about the sound engineer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Number 6.
I see.
Okay, anyone else on the committee? Okay, all right. Hearing
What's
no.
this as necessary in consultation? Why as necessary? I mean, we really want them to do this.
Well, it's as necessary, like, okay, I mean, that's to.
Well, I think what I was thinking was we had a stipulation we used to say that they would do this before they really started, operating. I mean, I know he was, it got a little confusing during the discussion because, you know, they before they would do karaoke, you know, remember Paul was saying, well, you understand you'll have to actually shut down to install the soundproofing.
Right, but they're doing that now.
Right.
They're doing what the sound engineer says is necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. The clause is what you're saying.
Okay,
Soundproofing
cool.
as necessary.
No, we appreciate your attention to detail, David, as always. Thank you.
No one is scared. I know.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns from the committee about the stipulations? Okay. Hearing no further input or objections, I'm going to move this to a vote. This is number 7, Next Best LLC, 188 Avenue B. Michelle, yes. David,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for your time and for working with us and understanding our concerns. We appreciate it. We will send you the stipulations tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for your time, and thank you everyone from the community who came out to speak and help us with this. Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick break and then we'll go to number 8, Book Club Bar. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
So I'll take the opportunity to make an announcement. The budget deal included language about open meeting laws. So we're going to have virtual meetings until June 8th. And then after June 8th, we'll start having in-person meetings.
So we could have done this meeting next week, Susan.
What?
We could have done this meeting next week.
But we just found out today.
Yeah, no, this is very annoying. At least I did it for more than a month this time.
It's for, it's a 2-year law. But like I said, after June 8th, we probably won't be able to have virtual meetings. And board members, regardless, would have to be present.
After June 8th.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the announcement. All right, number 8, Book Club Bar LLC, dropping the questionnaire in the chat for everyone. Are the applicants here for number 8?
Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm here as well,
Oh.
attorney for book club bar.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you. Okay, so this is an application for an upgrade from a tavern wine license to a full on-premises liquor license at 197 East 3rd Street between Avenue A and B for Book Club Bar LLC. The establishment has a C of O of 74 people, with 7 tables and 21 seats. Cafe food prepared in a food prep area served during all hours of operation. There are 11 licenses within 500 feet. This applicant has been operating since 2019 at this location and was approved by this committee in July 2019 with closing hours of 12 p.m. all days inside and rear yard operation hours 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Only recorded background music. No DJs, scheduled performances, but they may have book signings and other book related events. This location prior to this operator was No Malice Palace, which was approved in May 1997 and was open till 4 a.m. but caused lots and lots of problems until the SLA subsequently revoked and canceled the license. This location, as it's currently being operated, has had 1 311 complaint since 2018. We heard from one resident of the building and another resident of the street about noise issues caused by the use of the backyard. 5 nearby residents, including 1 East 3rd Street resident, wrote in support, and 24 residents signed a petition, including 5 from the building. They're asking for extension of indoor hours to 2 a.m. from 12 a.m., asking for 9 p.m. closure outdoors of the backyard, which is what they're currently using it. Anything to clarify there, Kimberly or Aaron?
Nope, that's pretty clear.
Okay. Anyone from the committee have any questions for these folks? Okay. Okay. Seeing no one from the committee, I'm going to go to the community. I see a couple of hands up. So the first one I see is Jacob Ford. Jacob, go ahead.
Hello, I'm a resident of CB3 and a extreme regular at book club. I would say more than any other bar owner that I have seen in the neighborhood, they try hard to create a specifically quiet space, going so far as to strictly ban laptops after 7 p.m. And throughout COVID, it was the only place I could sip a Guinness slowly and read a book in complete silence. So I really like them and I would love to drink some old fashions there. So I support them.
Thank you. The next hand I see is Jennifer Kello. Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. We weren't privy to the original drafting of the I did not find out about it until the end. We had a lot of problems with No Mountain Palace. We tried to reach out to Book Club Bar several times by email and got no response. Then later, they finally did respond. My concerns were with this back area because my window is right there and there are 4 buildings that face in and the sound goes straight up. Everything, it's hard because even if you have 3 people back there, I'll go like, is there 10 people back there? No, there's 3. It just is. That's what it is. We've been living with, I see my husband and I, 70 plus hours a week of people right outside the window. I work as a writer. I tried to talk to them about it. We were just said, no, this is our right. Here's our lawyers, blah, blah, blah. We tried to reach out to people. Brad Holman's office told us to call 311. When I did that, they joined with the landlord to send me a cease and desist letter. And I was told that if I said anything outside my window, asked people to be quiet or quiet anywhere else, I would be evicted on grounds of being a nuisance to the business, which is not my intention at all. But if someone's not going to talk with you, then what are you going to do? There are other residents that I spoke with about this, and they are afraid. They don't want to come out and talk because they've been threatened. They know that I was threatened and they're not going to say anything. In fact, I just texted with a guy tonight and he's just like, I know, but I just can't. I can't get involved with the landlord. I'm afraid. So instead of talking with us about our concerns, they ignore it. We have patrons outside the window, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's and those are my only, in the 26 years I've lived here, there's never been anyone using the back area in this way and that anywhere near those amount of hours. No one watches what's going on in the back. Patrons serve themselves, come and go as they please. One person is in the bar in the front, whatever, and that's kind of it. We were told that there is no booze back there because of its proximity to the sidewalk. I'm concerned with alcohol. This noise level is only going to go up, but I'm more concerned with the fact that we really need a break back there from 80 hours a week of I wake up with them, I go to sleep with them. It's not the bar's fault necessarily, but it's the area, it's what it is. And that's why there's never been anything that there. We were told at first they were just going to be a book club. Now it's a bar.
Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind wrapping it up, that'd be great. Yep. Thank you.
Yep. I think, I guess.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next hand I see is Robert G. Robert, go ahead.
Hi, I have no idea what Jennifer's talking about. I spend probably 15, 20 hours a week there. And every time I go there because it's quiet. That's where I go to read and write. I'm a teacher and a writer. I've been living in the East Village since 1988. It sounds like she's describing a different place. For 30 years, I go in there, I buy books, I read books. It's a serene, placid place. I also produce a monthly poetry event there where I bring in 10 students or interns that I work with. And I'm very careful about where I bring my students and interns. And I quickly discovered that Aaron and Nat, who own the place, have created a store that provides a healthy environment. I would not bring young people into this space. And they gain experience there. They get hands-on knowledge about how to present themselves as professionals and what's required to succeed. And the exciting thing about it that I've also discovered is the staff there has actually nurtured a number of my students. One of them just did a TEDx talk, and she's 17 years old. And her mother lets her go there. Her mother goes with her there every month so she can practice her TEDx talk during the poetry event. So the place is an absolutely nurturing and very supportive environment. My interns are flourishing now. They've got great networks that they've created with both staff and patrons. And this is the antithesis. This place is the antithesis of the nightmare East Village place. This place is grounded, and people who go there know that they can go there for peace and quiet. I go out in the backyard. I've never seen more than 7 people out there, 8 people. And what are they doing? They're reading or on their laptop. So I'm very much in a very, very different mode than the previous speaker. I don't know what place she's talking about because I spend a lot of time here. And like I said, bringing young people into a responsible, nurturing environment, that's what Aaron and Nat have created. I'm 100% on board with them expanding so that they can continue to grow.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Okay, I don't see any other hands. I would actually, Aaron, if you just don't want to address the noise issues in the backyard, if you don't mind.
So we have been very diligent about closing our backyard at 9 p.m. per the previous stipulations. In fact, we have events most nights of the week, and those events start at 8. So we close the back patio at 7:30. We're already closing much earlier than required. Most of the day, as Robert said, it's people on laptops, it's coffee drinkers. It's really quiet. There's no music. Even just stepping outside, we have music playing in the store. You step outside, you cannot hear it. It's a very quiet space.
Okay, thank you. Susan, just do you have any concerns about that, or have you gotten complaints?
Well, because I live on the next block and I shop there a lot, I'm aware of it. And, they have the shed outside in front also. Every time I've been there, it's been very quiet. I have seen people in the backyard. They're generally reading a book. They're not even talking to each other. So my personal observation is that it's a bookstore.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, committee, do you have any questions or concerns about this?
Yeah, although somebody rebuffed the statements of somebody who actually lived there, I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is for the operators of this place to take a deeper look into what's happening, because I don't think somebody would come here tonight and just make statements of that without any reality of the situation. And I think the operators should pay a greater more attention to what she's saying, because she's experiencing that situation, rather than somebody who bring a couple of children there a couple hours a week or something like that. I think that's the issue, paying attention and make sure that that complaint is looked to and not just overlook it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Herman. Anyone else on the committee have any concerns or questions? Okay. What are people thinking? The committee, I'm not getting much out of you in terms of approving or not approving this, or hours or whatnot.
I'm fine with the application as it came in. I mean,
okay.
It's a bookstore.
I'm fine too.
It's so quiet in there. When I walk in, I feel bad for making noise at all.
Okay, David.
Fine.
Okay. Jesse. Just might have stepped away. Okay, I'm fine with this too. Okay, I'm gonna share the steps. Okay, so this is a application for an upgrade to a liquor, wine, beer, and cider license for Book Club Bar LLC at 197 East 3rd Street. To operate a bookstore with less than full service kitchen, serving food during all hours of operation, indoors, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., rear yard, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. As yes, it's closing by 9 p.m. all nights. Closing its rear or front facade doors at 10 p.m. every night. No DJs, no live music. Oh, sorry. You're gonna have one live acoustic unamplified music once a week. Is that right?
We occasionally have some, singer-songwriters, very quiet.
Okay.
I think
Incidental, right?
Yeah, I think the previous stipulations indicated that there was just no amplification. So
Yeah, I think I pulled this from the, I'm pretty sure I pulled this from the last one. Sorry, so committee, this is not a change from their previous stipulations. No event with a cover fee, no scheduled performances, but it may have book signings and other book related events. It will not apply for an alteration to the method of operation without coming back here, will not seek a change in class, will not participate in pub crawls or have party buses, no unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches with food. No, if it has a happy hour, it will end at 7. No wait lines, staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering, and it will close any outdoor usages allowed by the open restaurants beyond the backyard, which must close at 9 p.m. by 10 p.m. and not have speakers or televisions. Sound right? Anything to correct there, Kimberly? Okay.
No, I think it's fine.
Committee, any concerns before we vote on this? Okay, seeing none. Okay, moving this to a vote. Voting on an upgrade for 197 East 3rd Street Book Club Bar LLC. Michelle, yes. David?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Jeanette?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone, for your time this evening. We'll send you the stipulations tomorrow.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for your
much.
time.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, next we are going to do the hotel 225 Bowery. Actually, I'm sorry. We have just one after that. I feel badly keeping the person here for that. I think there's some overlap in the folks that want to speak on it anyway. So we're going to do number 10, Bar Veloce, first, because I have a feeling that the hotel might take some time. Is the applicant for Bar Veloce here?
Hi, yes, I'm
earlier.
here.
Hi, Phil. Okay, great. And your
Thank
client
you,
is here
thank
too,
you,
Frederick?
Michelle, for jumping us ahead. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Frederick should be here.
Yep, I see him now.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay, great. Are you gonna have a closed fixed facade, or are you gonna close? Are you gonna close your front and rear facade windows? You didn't check it on the application, I don't think.
On the sides, I think we'd like to open up, whenever possible, the sides on Stanton Street.
Yeah, all right. So you'll close by 10 p.m. Okay. Just
Yeah.
all right, thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let me just run through this then. And the other question, Phil, I'm gonna have is a breakdown of seats on the tables and seats on the first floor and the ground and the cellar floor. I didn't want to count. So if you have that, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, sure. Yep, take your time. I'm just gonna read through this. Okay, so this is an application for a full on-premises liquor license for Bar Veloce at 245 Bowery on the corner of Stanton Street. Certificate of occupancy of 136 people, and using the ground floor and the cellar floor. Phil is going to tell us what the division of tables are. 135-foot bar with 20 seats on the first floor. Italian light fare prepared in the food prep area, available during all hours of operation. There are 12, and the hours of operation, excuse me, are 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. all days. 12 full-on premises liquor licenses within 500 feet. This location was previously licensed with a full on premises as with closing hours 10:30 p.m. Sundays, 12 a.m. Monday to Wednesday, 1 a.m. Thursday, and 2 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. The location has been closed for a long time, so there are no commercial complaints there. This applicant has been licensed at least 7 other establishments in New York City over the past 2 decades, including the long-standing location of Bar Veloce on 2nd Avenue. A representative from the Bowery Block Association wrote in opposition. Thank you, David, for counting that 13 residents who live within 2 blocks, signed a petition in favor. That is my spiel on this.
Do you mind just, I was counting the tables and seats for you. Do you mind running through those hours again or just saying them really quickly?
Yeah, so you were asking for 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. all days, right?
Okay, yeah, good. I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly.
And of course, we'll give our standard thing that if you put 8 a.m., you must be open by 8 a.m. every day. So just think about if you actually want to commit to that.
That is a question for Frederick that I'll leave to him if that's.
The intention is 8 a.m. because I want to explore doing a coffee program. My only concern would be just in the event of a COVID situation where I can't hire enough people. That would be my only issue.
Okay, so I would suggest then that we do not put 8 a.m. in that case.
Okay.
Like, what time will you certainly be open by for dinner service?
Well, we're currently all locations are 4 p.m.
Okay,
And-
so I would suggest that we put 4 p.m. because, as I said, if you say 8 a.m. you will have to be open by 8 a.m. This is a standard spiel. I'm saving David for having to make it.
Okay.
All right, thank you for
Yeah,
clarifying that stuff.
Mhm.
Anyone from the committee have any questions about
intention
this?
is 8 a.m. Frederick. So,
Oh.
I mean, if that is your business model, then we should do 8 a.m. I mean, that's.
Well, can I jump in? You would be allowed to open at 8 a.m. That is not a problem.
Yes.
You will be required to be open. by 8
Okay,
a.m.
I understand.
Yes, thank you.
That's
I did not
fine.
say David.
Open earlier than the stipulation.
I didn't
Yes,
mention
yes.
this at all for previous applicants. I wish I had, because I noticed that one was 8 a.m., but
Well, no, I asked them.
you did. Okay, good.
Yes, yes, you may open as early as you'd like. You just won't be forced to open that early. That's the difference.
All right, so 4 p.m. it is.
Yeah, okay. Anyone from the committee have any questions? No one from the committee? All right, Alicia, who is not a member of the committee, but as a member of CB3, I see your hand. So Alicia, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I just want to say that this is not the first establishment and this is not the first attempt of an establishment to open on this corner of Stanton and Bowery. The residents here at 10 Stanton Street, I'm going to speak on a portion of their behalf tonight. So we have gone through this a couple of times with a few applicants who've said that they have our best interests at heart. They were going to move the door opening so that the sound would not come directly at our residents. However, the last establishment that was here had issues with sound. They opened the windows were open past 10 p.m. and the sound gets to be a little unbearable, especially during the summer months when everyone wants to have their windows open. So we're asking that you will respectfully honor what you're saying. If you're not going to have the windows open past 10, or past 9 p.m., whatever the time you put on your application. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to really look it all over. But I really want you to honor the fact that there are elderly residents here at 10 Stanton Street. Many of them are sickly, and they live right directly in front of that establishment. The other thing is you asked to be open every single day till 2 a.m. We have a restaurant that's actually a few doors down, a few feet from you, that has respectfully not stayed open past 12 midnight. And I don't understand why on Monday, Tuesday, when business is not so, and Sundays, actually, why you have to stay open till 2 a.m. That is quite a long period of time to stay open, I believe, to accomplish whatever you're planning on accomplishing. I mean, if you are a bar restaurant, the restaurant side of it doesn't have to stay, the bar part of it. I understand you're trying to make money, but at the same time, we are residents here. We have many sickly and elderly residents here, and that I never even met with you about this. I don't even know if you reached out to us. If you did, we never saw any notification from you. So we'd like to talk to you if you'd like to meet with the residents here or the resident association here, and maybe we can talk a little bit about what it is you're going to be doing there, because the other one, it was like some other kind of restaurant. I understand you've been established, you have established restaurants in other areas. However, this is, I believe, a very quiet block for the most part. We've gotten very busy since COVID has lifted, and I'd like to make sure that we are going to be respectful to one another as your neighbor. Now, the Residents Association, they've already said no, right? So, I see there's like 2 other residents from the building that are on here on this Zoom, and they may have something else to add. But as for me, I really am not comfortable with you staying open 7 days a week past midnight. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. I didn't actually say that the residents, I think just a representative of the Bowery Block Association wrote against it, not the Residents Association, just to clarify. Phil, go ahead.
Thanks, Michelle. So there were a lot of different concerns there, so I want to try to address them all. So if I leave anything out, please let me know. First, the point regarding compliance with the stipulations and the application. We, of course, promise, legally agree that we will comply with all of the stipulated 2 terms. We will not break the law. If we get approved, we must abide by the stipulations as per the law, and we will. So if we agree to close windows by 10 p.m., I can't speak to what previous tenants have done, but I absolutely assure you that we will abide by the law. As for the hours of operation, 2 a.m. is what we ask for, because that's just what Frederick's business model is across his different establishments. Frederick has had Bar Veloce in your neighborhood, as you all know, on 2nd Ave for over 20 years without a blip. He has always complied, and this goes back to the first point about complying with stipulations. He's always complied with both stipulations and the law. There have never been any noise disturbances or anything along those lines. No complaints from neighbors that we're aware of. This is a quiet wine bar. This is not a loud restaurant. I know at one point it was a tapas restaurant, a bit of a noisier scene. This is not that. This is just a quiet wine bar. I hope you guys have been into Bar Veloce in one of his other locations. He has several of them. The whole business model is ambiance, conversation, quietness, and good wine. So that's what he plans to do here as well. And then the last point, just to address your concerns, was outreach. We did try to do a good deal of outreach to the neighbors. Like Michelle mentioned in the beginning, we received 13 signatures from tenants within 2 blocks. Unfortunately, Frederick broke his foot the other day, and he even tried to go out today to talk to the residents of your building. And he may or may not have spoken to a couple, but the pain ended up being a little too much for him to bear, so he had to go home. But he intends to work with all residents of the neighborhood, just like he does on 2nd Ave and at his other locations. He's always been an active member of the community, and he plans, he'll always be available if you have any concerns. He's someone who takes pride in being part of this community.
Thanks, Phil. And just so we always stipulate 10 p.m. closure of windows. Right. That's the facade. Yeah. And I just want to remind also that CB3 does not require applicants to reach out to community groups. We require the applicants to post, and we have all the information on the website. So, we hope that fosters conversations that are initiated by both sides. Okay, the next hand I see is Deborah. Deborah, go ahead.
Thank you. Opening another bar on this corner seems counterproductive to me within our community, because we already have 3 bars on this block. The restaurant that's next door just got a liquor license, and they had a smaller shed and they opened up a larger shed, and we have problems with fire trucks on this block trying to get through. And just for him to say he wants to reach out to the tenants, we've talked to certain tenants in the building, and we've asked them not to sign certain petitions only because we don't participate within these businesses, because the price range is too high for us. So we want to understand what is going to be different, because when you come into our community, you say what you're going to do, and then it changes to something else. We know that in this community is nothing but bars. We have 4 bars within a short radius. So when you open up your bar with how many, 136 people, then we have the 2 other bars on the block. Then it becomes a destination, not for us, but for the other people who are coming into our community with noise, with bottles left over. And I know that you're probably going to say you're going to have somebody who stands outside to watch this or to direct the crowd, but that's a busy corner in itself. Bowery is a busy street. And then if you push them away from your corner, you're pushing them over in front of our building, because there's a large space on the corner of Stanton and Bowery that people can hang out under a tree or something. So to say that you reached out to people when he hurt his foot, you had plenty of time to reach out. You don't necessarily have to reach out to us, but what is your price point going to be in that bar? Well, the people in this building, we're a low income building. I'm working, I live in the front of the building. The noise that we have on this block on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is ridiculous. So for you, I'm opposing this bar, because I don't think it could work for us as a community, but maybe a destination point for you as a business. And I ditto everything Alicia said.
Thanks, Deborah. The next hand I see is Michelle Campo. Michelle, go ahead.
Hi, and I have been outreach to by other applicants, so I don't know, but not this one. As you say, they don't have to, but I would have been nice. Now, I know this was spoken of by Alicia and Deborah as a restaurant. I didn't see anything about a restaurant in this application, and that's very concerning to me. And this is the second floor of this place is the Sunshine Hotel. It's an SRO. As a matter of fact, one of the establishment that was there 3 years ago, Kata, they originally named their place SRO, which was so offensive to everybody in the community that they changed it. Now, the people who are upstairs need their peace and quiet. That's about all they have, and I'm very concerned about that for their sakes. And I don't see that something that has a 35-foot bar with 2 TVs, to me, that translates into a sports bar. And also, there is roadside, well, there's roadside seating, 60 seats on Stanton Street. That's outrageous. That's totally outrageous. And are there other principals in this LLC other than Frederick Toomey? Because it's not written down there that I could find out. And so the Bowery Block Association strongly recommends denial of this application. And also, if it is granted, it should not be later than midnight for the benefit of everybody in the neighborhood. And there are other residences on that block, aside from 10 Stanton, which has been, overloaded with stuff from the public already. I'm talking about the hotel, not the people walking by. But it is a very, we don't want it to turn into a corner that's just a destination for a bar.
I just like
Thanks,
to
Michelle.
say 2 things.
So, Michelle, if you could just, Michelle, excuse me, let me, Michelle, if you could wrap it up, you've gone over your
I
2
am
minutes.
wrapping it up, but he interrupted me. And, when you have 60 seats outside in the curb, that is not conducive to a calm atmosphere. Thank you very much.
I'd just like
Thank
to
you.
quickly add that Mr. Toomey has a long-standing record. He doesn't own sports bars. If you're not familiar with his business model, please check out his website or walk over to 9th Street and 2nd Ave. This is the same concept he has at all his places. They're quiet wine bars. I mean, it's just an established business model here. This is not a sports bar. This is not a rowdy location. Someone mentioned, they said, I'm sure you'll have someone outside to control the people outside. He won't have a security guard outside because it's not that type of place. This isn't a security guard, red velvet rope type of establishment. This isn't a tourist destination. This is just your quiet local wine bar, which he's seen success at so many times in other locations, including for 20 years without a single complaint in this community. So I would think that that would speak for itself and he would get the benefit of the doubt there.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah.
I know it's part of a chain, but it's still a large place. And
I also wanted to say this isn't a restaurant. Someone had asked if it was or was not. It's not in our application to be a restaurant.
Exactly.
It meets the minimum food requirement: charcuterie, cheese, sandwiches, quiet, delicate foods.
It's a bar.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, the next hand I see is Arthur Carpati. Arthur, go ahead.
I want to talk during the hotel. I'll be quick. Mr. Tomei, I frequented his establishments. He's a first-class operator. He really couldn't ask for anything better to go in there. Really, the other outfits on Stanton, one of them is a very good operator, the other is not. But this is a situation where this is going to be a bar or a restaurant, and you couldn't ask for anyone better. So I just fully support a wine bar on that corner that will feel good and make that an active corner and not an issue. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public here to speak on this item? Number 10, 245 Bowery, Bar Veloce. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands. Oh, Cheryl Freeman. Cheryl, go ahead. Cheryl, you're muted if you're speaking.
Hi, I'm
Go
Cheryl
ahead.
Freeman from, hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Cheryl Freeman from 10 Stanton. And I have heard every establishment and CB3 representative. But what I haven't heard, y'all want to bring in all these establishments, give them these liquor licenses, but we as the community representative is fighting hard for our community, but I haven't heard none of them coming in and say what or how they will help out with the community. We are the ones fighting. They coming in here trying to make $1. I'm fighting for my livelihood. But they're not reaching out to me and asking me, how can I help you? I heard everybody on this panel and community board, okay? You're bringing them in, but we are the ones that's fighting as classified as low income. But I wanna see all these people that's coming in here that wanna do business in our community, reach out to the community, give back to the community. Because they're not giving nothing to the community while I'm still fighting. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else from the community, please raise your hand now. If not, then I will turn it over to the committee. And just a reminder that the chat is only for technical issues to sign in and out. We cannot be having an alternative meeting in the chat. If that's what's happening, I'll turn it off.
Turn it off.
Okay. Anyone from the committee have any other questions or concerns about this? David, go ahead.
Go ahead, David.
I was going
David
to
has hand
ask
up. David, go
if
ahead.
the
Sorry.
applicant would, I'm getting an echo, if the applicant would the applicant be willing to shut by midnight on Sunday through Wednesday? That's a typical hours.
Frederick, I'll turn that to you.
If that's what the community wants, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, I would second that, David, if you're making an amendment to change the hours.
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay. Any members of the
that's
committee in
midnight.
opposition to that?
So that's midnight Sunday through Wednesday, and then the 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. Okay, thank you.
Did you say 2 a.m. from Thursday to Saturday?
Yes.
So 12 a.m. Sunday to Wednesday and 2 a.m. Thursday to Saturday. So that's like pretty much our typical Herman, 12 a.m., 2 a.m. hours situation.
The other thing about us, somebody mentioned 60 people on the sidewalk. Is that something that's in the proposal?
No.
I don't think that was.
What's the actual number of people that would be out there?
I think, may I speak?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So I think we said we might have to open outside in the event that the COVID restrictions come back. So I think that's why that might be there. But whatever, it probably would just be on Bowery, since that sidewalk is wide enough. But that would be it. So just something outside in the event that we have to shut down.
Yeah, but you can write that in a stipulation, could it? I mean, we have to think about the constant. You're going to be there 2, 3, 4, 5, say 10 years if you're successful, which never seems to happen in that corner. But
I'll do my best.
On a normal everyday COVID, and it's spiking, on a normal day when everything is good, how many people you expect to be on that sidewalk?
On the Bowery, I would say no more than probably 6 tables. That would be it. So 12 people, probably not more than that.
Okay, so it's
Susan,
just
I mean,
six table, not 60 people, right? Six
Yes,
tables.
6 tables.
See, I don't know where
12.
that came from. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
But we also plan to have 6 tables on Stanton as well, up against the facade of up against the frontage of the building.
That's 6 at 2 people or 6 at 4 people?
6 of 2, so 12 and 12.
2 people.
Okay.
Wait, I have a question, Susan. Is that something that we can, because this is under the temporary open rest? I mean, how do we haven't done anything with like number of tables outside.
We can put whatever in the stipulations.
Okay, but will DOT abide by, I mean, I guess it's like how many, I guess my question is because DOT is the one overseeing it.
DOT will ignore it. However, the
That's what I mean,
SLA, the SLA will not ignore it. They will not allow to be able to serve liquor except at the stipulated
Okay.
areas.
Okay, 6 tables with 12 seats on Stanton Street and 6 tables with 12 seats on Bowery. So it may have up
If I
to 6
could-
tables with 12 seats.
If I
Go
could
ahead,
just
Susan.
suggest though, if they don't need to have them all out at once, it's better to have them on the Bowery than on Stanton.
Certainly.
Yes. Mhm.
Really? Okay.
On
I
Stanton, I
will
just want
also
to let you
say,
know,
I
on
know this
Bowery-
business, excuse me, that I'm aware of this business for many years. It's definitely not a sports bar.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, okay. Susan, and any complaints from Second Avenue
No,
location?
it's been there forever and there's never been one complaint.
Okay. Okay, anyone from the committee have any other questions? I'm not gonna go back to the public on this because we've heard from everything already.
No, I just want to
It's
say
already
one thing, Michelle. Michelle, just
Sorry.
one-
We just cannot have people speaking out of turn. I really apologize. We cannot, we reserve the right to mute you if you do that. Anyone from the committee have any other questions or concerns about this?
Could we put in part of the stipulation that the operator should put signs for their clients expressing their wishes that they keep the noise down or respect the neighbors? I've seen
Sure.
many places that have that sign.
Sure. Or would you want to do what we did with the other one, which is to designate a employee to ensure that there's no noise outdoors, what we did for number 4?
I'm not sure that works anyway, from my experience.
Okay.
If you
Sure.
go to 3rd Street and Avenue B, those wait staff screams their crazy noise out and nothing happens.
Okay, so it will place signs.
Frederick, are you agreeable to that? To place a sign that asks patrons to
Be respectful.
Yes.
I'll find some tasteful way to do that. Absolutely, if that's what the community wants.
Yes, that'd be great. Okay, so it will place signs in its outdoor dining areas asking patrons to be respectful and not be noisy to alleviate any potential noise for residents. Herman, does that work? Herman?
I'm fine.
Okay, great. Any objections to that committee? Okay. Okay. And just a reminder that the chat is not for talking to us. It's for if you have issues or if you need to sign in, because we can't find those things if you're putting other stuff in. We just cannot pay attention to it, and it's not fair from an open meeting perspective. Okay, anyone else from the committee? Herman, anything else? Or are you good?
I'm okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, I see that there are 3 people's hands up. Do you have anything to add to this? Because the committee has basically is done.
Yes.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I do want you to be respectful of our time as well. Michelle, are you directly impacted by this
I'm very
application?
respectful. Yes, and I'm very respectful of the people who live upstairs. That's what I'm saying. You're talking.
They're not
about
here.
Sidewalk.
Are you? But you don't live upstairs, so I don't really want you to speak
for
on
them.
behalf of people. Yeah.
Well, I do anyway. Anyway, the thing I'm trying to say is, I speak for the people without, okay? The thing I'm trying to say is, if you look at the plans for this, there was a schematic for roadbed seating that had 10 tables, 6 chairs per table. That's on Stanton Street. So I don't know what anybody's talking about sidewalk stuff. And if you have sidewalk stuff on the Bowery, that's right by the entrance to the Sunshine. I don't think that's a great idea. So that might want to. That was in the plan. I don't make it up in my head. I saw it.
But we've signed stipulations now.
I have the plans in front of me. I don't see those.
I just want to make you aware of something. On Bowery, they have a food truck that serves the homeless. And they leave a lot of garbage out there. We don't want that truck to be pushed over to our side and bring rats, because that garbage can is always, just like Cheryl said, there's no garbage cans or anything in that area. So you have to be aware of the community. There's a food truck that stops there. Don't push them over on Stanton, our side, because then we're gonna have all the garbage and all the rats in the road. And I would like it stipulated for only 6 tables, for the simple reason, if there's a COVID again, then 12, but let it be 6, not 12. That's a lot of people outside.
Okay, thanks. Cheryl? Okay. All right, committee, any other concerns?
I'm here.
Cheryl, go
I'm
ahead.
here. Hello, can you hear me? I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm listening, and everything everybody's saying is true and whatnot, but I still haven't heard the answer to my question and whatnot. They coming in. We have a lot of problems, and they're not trying to reach out to the community. Yes, I understand that. Okay, because like I said, at the end of the day, do y'all see the rats, how they running in the streets? And our block is just as narrow as any other block. I witnessed how a fire truck couldn't get through the block. That's all I'm saying is, I don't mind. But reach out to the community. Just don't reach out to some in the community. Because remember, I live on this block here. Y'all don't.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Okay, committee, any other objections before I share my screen? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with the stipulations as we talked about. Okay. This is an application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider at 245 Bowery for FT 328 LLC. It's a bar serving light Italian fare with a less than full service kitchen, but serving food during all hours of operation. We're serving opening no later than 4 p.m. and closing by 12 a.m. Sunday to Wednesday and 2 a.m. Thursday to Saturday. Closing by 10 p.m. outside. There'll be more details below. Install soundproofing. We'll close any front or rear facade doors and windows at 10 p.m. every night. No DJs, no live music, no promoted events, no event in which a cover fee is charged, no scheduled performances. Ambient recorded background music only. Will not seek an alteration without coming back here. No pub crawls or party buses. No unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches with food. If they have a happy hour, it will end by 7. No wait lines. Staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering. It will close all outdoor dining allowed under the temporary open restaurants program and any other subsequent uses by 10 p.m. all nights, and not have any speakers or TV monitors. It may have up to 6 outdoor tables with 12 seats on Stanton Street and 6 tables with 12 seats on Bowery. It will place signs in its outdoor dining areas asking patrons to be respectful and not be noisy to alleviate any potential noise for residents. Does that sound right, Frederick and Phil?
The only thing I want to point out is number 6, I believe, soundproofing.
Yeah.
That should be checked off.
Is it already installed, or you're just?
No, I mean, the place is being built out to hopefully be as soundproofed as it can, but I don't think we can stipulate.
Very soundproof.
Oh, it
Okay.
is soundproof.
Yeah, from the previous tenant. Yeah, they spent a lot of money on that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Okay, committee, any concerns about these stipulations? The only thing we really changed was the hours. Okay. Great. I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, I'm gonna move this to a vote. Hearing no further objections. This is number 10 Bar Veloce, 245 Bowery. Michelle, yes. Paul,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Okay, this motion carries. We'll send you the stipulations tomorrow. Thank you, everyone who came from the community to help us craft the stipulations. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I think the next one's gonna be a bit of a long one, so I'm gonna take another break. If anyone from the committee needs to do so as well, please do. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, are the applicants for number 9, 225 Bowery present?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, let me drop the application in chat. Okay. Okay, so this is for the committee, if you haven't had a chance to read it, this is the former sister district hotel on Bowery. On the same block actually as what we were just talking about, right next to the Bowery Mission, next to Freeman's Alley, well, part of Freeman Alley, I guess. So, okay, so this is you're seeking a hotel license, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Barbara's muted.
Yeah, but I saw her say yeah, yes.
Yes, sorry about that. Thanks, Susan.
Okay. Okay, so they're seeking a hotel on premises liquor license in the premises located at 225 Bowery, aka 3 Freeman Alley between Rivington and Stanton Street. This is an application for a hotel. The ground, there are going to be 2 places with, sorry. Sorry, perils of working from home. There are going to be 2 spaces with food and beverage service on the ground floor and the 11th floor. So the ground floor has a C of O of 170 people and the 11th floor has 218 people. 64 tables with 251 seats on the ground floor, 29 tables with 151 seats and a bar on the 11th floor. There are indoor and outdoor spaces on both of those. There's a full kitchen serving modern Middle Eastern food, live and recorded ambient background music. Okay, so here's where the hours, I'll put this in the chat actually, so it's easier to see. So the ground floor indoors, restaurant open from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. Recorded music that may be curated by a DJ at ambient background levels. Ground floor outdoors is a restaurant annex, open from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., food served during all hours of operation, recorded music at ambient background levels. 11th floor indoors, lounge open from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m., music that may be recorded music that may be curated by a DJ at ambient background levels. 11th floor outdoors, lounge open from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., food served all the time, recorded music at ambient background levels. The applicant provided sound specifications that the outdoor speakers be placed on the ground to minimally impact ambient sound, and that they'll be turned off 30 minutes before outdoor closing times. We received an assessment from a security company that they plan to have 5 licensed security guards at peak operating times, both at 225 Bowery and 3 Freeman Alley and on the 11th floor. There are 15 full on-premises liquor licenses within 500 feet. I should say that this has already been licensed as the sister district hotel. I believe a major change from the way that sister district was operating to what these applicants are proposing is that they propose to use the 3 Freeman Alley as an entrance after 10 p.m. So that's the entrance that's on Rivington, like across from Lorelei. Okay. The previous hotel had many stipulations. I'm not going to go through them, but committee, they're in the resolution. One of the things is that they would only use the Freeman Alley entrance for hotel guests with keys, and that all loading and unloading will occur on Bowery. They'll put soundproofing or sound baffling measures in the outdoor spaces, which might have already happened. That's why they didn't include that here. We can ask about that. Another thing is about the lights, that they'll have exterior lights will be at low physical levels, so that they're not shining into residents' windows. And that there will be no food or beverage service in the garden area abutting the Freeman Alley entrance. Okay, that's a lot. They're laid out in the resolution committee. So this, the food and beverage operator has been licensed at 3 primary licenses in Manhattan, Bread's Bakery at 1890 Broadway, the Arlo Nomad Hotel in Midtown on 31st Street, and then Noor on East 20th Street, excuse me. This location only had 1 commercial 301 complaint. And then we received several notes from nearby residents. I would not say that they were all in opposition, but at least some with concern, asking us to abide by the same, asking us to prescribe the same stipulations as we had, the committee had given to the previous operator. As you know, as I laid out in the resolution, you should see those. A representative of the Bowery Block Association wrote in opposition and reported that the previous operator did not abide by the stipulations, including that the Freeman Alley entrance should only be for hotel guests. They reported that there were no security guards, and they reported that they did not provide a phone number for residents. This is an agreement beyond what we are part of, but a lawyer representing resident of 199 Christie Street, which abuts the premises behind, forwarded us a letter that was sent to the applicants outlining the ways that the applicant's proposed method of operation violates an agreement between those 2 parties. So like I said, not an agreement that we have, but an agreement that they have. 26 residents who live within 2 blocks signed a petition in favor. And an outstanding question that I had is how many DJs and in what spaces there are proposed to be. I did not see that in the application.
Are we able to have more individuals sort of participate and speak? Because there are, we came fully booked with everyone who can answer all your questions. But with respect to sort of DJ operations, if you'd like an answer, I would like to unmute someone. If Stephen Escobar or James Chachi want to unmute and let us know what the plan is for DJs and in what space and the frequency.
And Barbara, while they unmute, I'm happy to handle that one.
Sure.
But the idea is to on some nights on the weekends to just have a DJ upstairs.
In the indoor space.
In the
Yes.
indoor space, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Is there anything else? This is obviously a complicated application. So Barbara, if there's anything else that you want to add or clarify, please go ahead.
Yeah, by all means, and I'll be as succinct as possible. For the most part, we 100% agree with the stipulations that were previously agreed to. The time has changed a little bit and the climate has changed a little bit, and there are concerns on the part of the hotel operator, David Paz, as well as the food and beverage operator, Gade Peleg, both on here about the safety of the hotel patrons and dining guests. This is going to be a high-end Middle Eastern sort of, tapa sharing environment, and we just don't understand the other occupants of Freeman Alley's objection to our ability to use the Freeman Alley entrance. By all means, there are two entrances. There's a very large lobby to the hotel. For all intents and purposes, the plan is to have all patrons enter in. There's no reason for queuing at this location due to the fact that this is an enormous lobby. If patrons are waiting to dine upstairs and they come early, there's a ground floor area they can relax in. We don't anticipate lines, but we do want safe ingress and egress from the premises. And we feel as though having the Freeman Alley access, which we're legally entitled to, is important. And we think that might have been an oversight in the previous applicants' agreements with the community. And that's something we do want to address. As to lighting, as to noise, as to where our outdoor seating is, that's all agreeable to us. The hours that were previously agreed to, for the most part, are all agreeable from what I understand, which was 4 a.m. interior. This is a hotel that services international guests. Exteriors on the ground level would close at midnight, and on the upper levels, 2 a.m. And then this also houses people while they're occupying the location. So the method of operation of this restaurant and the two spaces that it'll occupy aren't such that it'll be disruptive to those that stay at the hotel, and logically would not be disruptive to those around us. So the previous resolutions from January, I believe, 2018, we've reviewed them thoroughly, and they're not objectionable. Our only feeling is that we do need access to an entrance that is rightfully ours on Freeman Alley to be able to have guests enter and exit, and it not just be exclusive to hotel guests with key cards. That seems bizarrely prohibitive and frankly unsafe given, I guess just the recent climate. There is a concern on the operator to run a safely licensed premise. It's its obligation as a liquor licensee. So that's just our only point of change from the previous operators agreed upon stipulations from what we understand. If I've missed anything, certainly I'll address it if you want to raise it. But that's pretty much the only issue that we've sort of isolated for ourselves, and we hope to come to a resolution about it here.
Thanks, Barbara. Okay. Anyone from the committee or Barbara, does anyone else on your side want to say anything?
Yeah, it appears that David Paz may want to speak, but he'd have to unmute himself. David.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. We last 2 years through COVID was very difficult for us as an operation, and our proximity to the Bowery mission on the Bowery side is very difficult to manage. Aside for the food truck and the loitering, there's also been a stabbing in front of our hotel. And because that's part of the sidewalk, we were named a party to this, even though we had nothing to do with it. So there's some significant major safety concerns that kind of took place during COVID. And I just feel that it's very unsafe to limit the guests to go through that. And I tried to resolve it, having conversation with the Bowery mission, but they can't really. They claim that it's not the homeless people that comes to part of their program, and they can control it, and it does become violent, and it's a very tricky situation, and I'm trying to diffuse it. And I would really appreciate it if the committee would be understanding to that only particular change that we're trying to affect. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to the committee now, unless committee, David, I see your hand. Oh, let's let Susan go, and then David, if you wanna go. So Susan, go first.
Yeah, as far as the Bowery mission, no one, you've never contacted us and said you were having any problems. I'm not aware of, I know there have been violent incidents. I'm not aware that there are chronically violent incidents. Have you worked with the 5th Precinct at all?
I don't get me wrong. I have excellent relationship with them, and we donate to them, and we work with them, and we give them the staff place to stay with us. I personally was on premise when person a lot of times come in through our premise through the Bowery gate. They sneak in and they start panhandling our guests, or they go and they use our restroom. One time, me personally, when I tried to escort one of them out, he almost beat me. And I did spoke to Serena about this. I would be the last person to complain about the Bowery mission, because I think what they're doing is amazing and they should continue doing it. So I would never call you or anyone else and place and complain about them. But I'd be happy to share with you a lawsuit where someone was stabbed a few months ago on that sidewalk. 2 homeless people were fighting and one stabbed the other. And now we're in the litigation over
Okay,
this.
I don't want
and
to
to
spend a
conserve-
lot of the committee's time on this, but I really wish, if you're going to come to the committee and say there's a problem, I wish that you would work with me when the problem starts so that we can try and resolve it. And when, complaining is to resolve a problem. We work with Bowery Mission very closely. It's, it would be a good thing to be able to speak about it and see what we could do. So I want to urge you, they've been there for a long time. It is a difficult time. I want to urge you, please work with the community board office so we can try to make things better for everyone.
Thanks,
Will do.
David, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
I don't know if we want to spend some focus time now or do it later about the Freeman alley entrance.
I think that maybe we should, unless we have like specific questions, we should probably go to the community, like anyone here from the community, and then we can work out what we.
I would rather hear that first. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So does anyone else from the committee have any questions before we go to the public? Susan, is your hand up again, or do you?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Jeanette, are you clapping? Are you raising your hand?
I'm just raising my, oh, sorry, I meant to raise my hand. I just hope that the public's comments are directly relevant and germane to this discussion. If you guys can place your commentary at the base of this hotel, like something very specific, that would be helpful. I think we've heard a lot from the public today, and it's not always felt relevant. So if they could just have that focus, that'd be grand.
Thank you, Jeanette. Okay. All right. So if you're here from the public to speak, please put your hand up. Again, this is number 9, 225 Bowery. Okay. The first hand I see is Michelle Campo. Michelle, go ahead.
Okay, I hope that because we're the last in the evening and it's kind of late, we're not getting too short a shrift on this, but I'm concerned that that this is still a hotel. I don't know that it's still a hotel. Is it just an Airbnb? Because that's what I've heard. And an important thing to specify for me is that the only time there was a lot of stuff going on in the sidewalks was when, and I have nothing against the homeless being housed there, but that was the only time things were going on the corner and in front of the hotel on the Bowery, was not from guys from the mission. I've only lived here all my life. I kind of can tell, certain things that are going on. And that's how it was to me. And furthermore, when it was Thanksgiving last year, the year before, the line for waiting for dinner, to sit in the mission was diverted because of Sister City, because it was, you know, blocking the entrance. So they had to go on Rivington Street. I think that's kind of insulting. Okay, and as for the alley, I believe there's a covenant in place that gives the easement to one person and it's not just an open street. So whatever the stipulations were before should be still now. And it's not that times have changed, so this has changed. No, we don't want that to be, there's a person who lives in that alley who's got a single family house, a single standalone house. And he's quite, you know, put upon by all the people coming and going from the hotel, whereas before it was very quiet. So I think that's important that that be kept in place. And, you know, as for certain people from the hotel, they've been fairly aggressive and manipulative. And this is also, as was brought up, next to the Mission, and the people in the Mission, again, I will say, because I seem to be the mouthpiece for people on the Bowery, I don't want to be disturbed. You know, I don't want to be put upon. I don't want to be pushed out of the way and made to feel in any way less than they are. And it's not that they are the ones that are being disruptive. So please keep those restrictions in place. It's very important to everybody in this area that is the fact. And to other establishments on Freeman Alley, that is important. And this should not be treated as a parking lot for the hotel, as an entrance for the hotel. That should still be on the Bowery.
Okay.
Good for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. All right. The next hand I see is Arthur Carpati. Arthur, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm the party who negotiated an agreement with David Paz and his former tenant Ace Hotel with certain conditions for the alleyway. Things have changed. Everybody's entitled to do business. They have not even made me aware, by the way, of this application. Nobody came and met with me. Nobody talked with me. The 5 security guards that they're potentially going to have in the place should be on the Bowery. That will prevent any issues from happening. Safe alleyway, they're going to have a hotel drop-off on a bike lane at the end of Freeman Alley. Where's the traffic study to show that that's possible? I mean, the whole situation has been handled so poorly as far as communicating. Not a phone call, not a meeting, nothing dealing with those who had an agreement with not only the Ace Hotel Group Sister City, but with David Paz, who is the developer, manager of the property. I just don't understand how, like, this is, I don't know if you thought we wouldn't find out about it. David, why aren't you talking to anybody? Why aren't you living up to the things that you're agreeing to? So I really am at a loss as to how somebody trying to operate a business does not comply with their agreements. So while I know he has to operate a business, it should be based on the agreement and the conditions that were stipulated to previously. And he should abide by those things and have security guards on Bowery. You'll get rid of all your problems.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. This is just to be clear, this is a private agreement that you have with them?
This is an agreement that was made that was meant to be incorporated into the previous stipulations.
No, not into ours.
That's not what we don't, that's
wasn't
not in
our
our
stipulations.
stipulations. So our stipulations are whatever our stipulations
The
are.
stipulations that were agreed to. Oh, so it's just a legal agreement.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with us.
Mhm. And why didn't you communicate with those people who you had an agreement with then, Mr. Paz?
Okay, I just don't want to take up everyone's time on this
Okay.
discussion, so it
No
seems like
communicate.
All right, understood. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you. I
waiting
appreciate
to,
it.
I'm waiting to be addressed. I'm not going to barge into the
we
discussion
shouldn't
until
deal with
Michelle
this.
lets me speak.
Okay, I see another, I have another hand from the community. I see Hernan Galvez. Hernan,
Yes, hi.
go ahead.
I'm actually, I'm 43 Freeman Alley. I
Okay,
am
go
the
ahead.
property manager for the hotel. So I wanted to address the concern that this is not a hotel. It is in fact a hotel. It happens to be managed through Airbnb, but we are a hotel and it operates only as a hotel because we have a certificate of occupancy for it. Also, I want to address the comment that Arthur's property was the only one with access to the alley. That is, to my best understanding, his difference is that he has a right of carriage to the alley through the Bowery Missions property, but every other property in the alley has the rights to the public street that it is. So everybody has access to the alley. As a matter of fact, we have a letter from the Manhattan Borough Presidents designated 3 Freeman Alley as our primary entrance.
Can you send that to us, Susan? Didn't you say you had done research on this and we didn't have knowledge
Yes.
about the?
Yes, so the borough president has a division of maps. And, I asked whether it was demapped or not, and no one had any documents about whether it had been demapped.
So
we will be happy to provide the letter. We have it ready for you. We can provide it in a few seconds. I'd like just to add one more thing. That alley is owned by all the owners on the alley. And Arthur Carpati, Gadi has called you a number of times for a month, and you never picked up. You never picked up the phone and called back. And I wanted Gadi to discuss it with you because he's the operator, not me. I also want to mention that Arthur is gradually taking over the entire alley. He has seatings and umbrellas, and the restaurant is using the alley as additional seating for his restaurant. So on one hand, he's putting speakers on walls and playing music in the alley and taking over the entire alley as if it's his own private space. And on the other hand, he's trying to fight me in front of this committee that I'm not allowed to bring crowds through the alley. So I think that cannot fly. And if I have to take it on a personal level with him, I will. I don't think this is the place for it. But I'd be happy to show you all the documents I have about Arthur Carpati taking over the entire alley with seating and music at night. Thank you.
So I agree with you. We shouldn't talk about it here. If there are complaints about sounds like legal issues for the alley, please send me an email about that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Okay, so, all right, committee, so we just heard a bunch of stuff. As I noted, private agreements between people are not our jurisdiction. What we're dealing with is what was in the stipulations before and what we're going to do in the future. So does anyone from the committee want to weigh in now that we've heard a bit from folks? David, I know you wanted to talk about the alleyway.
Before we talk about the alleyway,
Sure.
Is there anything about the operation as they've applied for it now drastically different from the resolution of before times?
No, the main difference is the entrance. The hours are basically the same. The entrance is the thing.
Just the Freeman Alley situation.
Yes, excuse me, just the Freeman Alley situation. That the previous stipulations from this committee, from this board, from the SLA was that they could only use the Freeman Alley ingress egress for hotel customers with cards.
And they would like to expand that? It's pretty
They want
small.
to be able to use it as their primary entrance after 10 p.m. Entrance and exit, Barbara?
Primary?
Barbara, you're on mute.
Primary.
No, we are willing to use the Bowery entrance, and at a certain point, most egress will be out of Bowery. We would like ingress to be permissible on Freeman Alley.
Okay. And but only Freeman Alley after 10 p.m., right? That was what the application said?
That's our request, yes.
Okay. So just, Jeanette, does that clarify for you?
It does, and if I may interject with a comment now, less than a question.
Yes.
I think they have chosen their business to be a Bowery Avenue, or that's not Avenue, Bowery business. I don't know. I don't really see the reason why they should get all that foot traffic to go in what is a very narrow alleyway that already has like a restaurant. I understand that they have rights to use that, but for their business on the whole, it's a pretty, I mean, it's a big hotel. They're gonna have a lot of space. I mean, I don't see why we would change it from what it used to be.
Okay. Thanks, Jeanette. David, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's still unclear to me why we had stipulations previously about not to use Freeman Alley. I understand it's quite narrow and all that, but what it seems to me here is that we have a legal dispute over who's entitled to use it. And I don't see any reason other than a possible legal agreement, or I heard the word covenant maybe. Other than that, I don't see any, objectionable. I don't see the impact that the stipulation was meant to address. And so I'm going to assume that there is no such impact and that we shouldn't be restricting it any further. And if there's any question about who owns it or controls it, that's really not something that CV3 can do. We don't investigate, we don't litigate. I'm done.
I think I know what Susan's gonna say, but Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, this is not the reason I believe not to use it. I don't think has anything to do with a legal agreement, which has nothing to do with us. I think it's, you would always put a large crowd going in and out on a busy wide street where it's not going to impact. When you go to Freeman Alley, there are people that live above there, and you're putting this crowd in this tiny sound canyon, basically.
Yeah, it is the smallest road I've ever seen. Except for maybe one or two I saw in Amsterdam once. It is really small. And so having large groups going in or out doesn't make sense. That's true.
You always put it for a hotel, the large crowd on the busy avenue because it's less impact. You have it, we all agree their legal agreement has absolutely nothing to do with us, but it's about, I've had complaints way in the past from people who live there, just even about the restaurants, making noise when they clean up, that kind of stuff. It's just not it's not made for that.
And the original stipulation had talked about access, but with keys. Now, I don't know when that.
The point was that only certain people would have access to it, that it wouldn't be for public.
Only overnight hotel guests, yeah.
Right, and that should be almost trivial to do. I don't stay in hotels often, but I haven't been in one in a very long time where I didn't have a card that let me in through certain doors.
But it won't have the crowds going to a venue.
Right, so I guess that does make sense to me that ought to be how it operates, but I heard Barbara saying that they weren't interested in that anymore.
No, I mean, I will let David and Gotti speak to the issue, but we're more than willing to use the Bowery entrance in the Bowery side. I think it's the prohibition of using the Freeman Alley side that we're permitted, should frankly be permitted to use, that does not sit right with us. I mean, we're the new applicant, I'm new counsel to Gotti. This is not Sister's, application. It just, from the very beginning of working with them, I just could not understand the prohibition of using an alleyway that they have every legal right to use. And again, no one on this board seems to remember why and what the justification was. We're more than willing to use the Bowery side. We're more than willing to put security on the Bowery side. It'd be good for the neighborhood. We just don't want the prohibition or the limitation that only hotel guests with key cards can use the Freeman Alley side. It just doesn't appear reasonable. But I certainly will let the hotel owner and operators respond to that.
Okay, well, before
I
he
think-
does, I'll point out that we do remember why, and it is that is a very narrow street, and we would prefer to have the larger crowds happening on the Bowery. And
By
so
all means.
that is the rationale. When I came out of the gate here, I was really reacting to the fact that there was just way too much back and forth about my right, not necessarily, that's what I was hearing. But we do know why it was, and it was because that is it's very narrow. You have two walls, and if there were a large number of people using it, okay.
Yes, David. David, go ahead. David, pause. Go ahead. Excuse me.
If I may, listen, I believe in leveling the playing. It cannot be that you have a large crowd going into Freeman restaurant and dining there on Freeman, and nobody cares, sitting not inside the restaurant, but on Freeman Alley and dining there with soft music, and everybody's cool with it. But I cannot have people coming into my property because everybody's not cool with it. If you have a law, then that should affect Freeman restaurant, and it should affect us as well, because we're prohibited from, even though legally this is our main entrance, if there's an issue with the committee, I would honor it. But you can't decide one way to one guy and another way to another guy. It's just simply not fair, especially when the other guy is taking the entire alley. He's not even using his own space indoors. He's actually outdoor using it. And on the other hand, there's an argument to be made that it's a small alley, and the guests can only come into Freeman Alley restaurant, but they cannot come into Freeman Alley hotel because it's a small street. I would really appreciate if the committee would consider it in an evenly way. And the reason why it was entered into the stipulation before is because Arthur, in his negotiation with ACE, said that he will do everything in his power to object this unless we gave him that in the stipulation, and the ACE people gave him that. But again, this is a new application, and I don't think it's right, and it does affect my business, and it's a very delicate issue. Arms throwing a homeless person from the Bowery Mission or not from the Bowery Mission who comes to eat at the Bowery Mission every day. It's a real problem. It's a real operational problem. As you can see, that's the only sore point that we're fighting for, and I think I'm only fighting to be served equally among the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeanette. Go ahead.
As I understand it, we do specify ingress and egress for other licenses as well. So I don't think it's that out of place that we're very much considering saying that it shouldn't be at one entrance or the other. So we're not just, this discussion isn't just coming up because it's Freeman Alley. I think we do thoughtfully think about egress in a lot of applications. So in that scope, David Crane, I feel like isn't that part of what we're supposed to do is kind of agreed that whoever's legally allowed to use that alley, it sounds like it's everybody. It is still a street at the end of the day, what have you, whatever. But I think for our purposes that understanding, if a large business is going to set up, and if it just makes sense to me, I don't know how much of the committee at this point is undecided either. So I wonder if we can just move on to that point, or taking a straw.
I mean, I just wanted to address about the fairness thing. It's not about fairness necessarily. It's about learning from the past, and that's what it's about. So we're not talking about Freeman's tonight. Perhaps if Freeman's were here, I'm sure if Freeman's were here, we'd be having the same type of conversation, but we don't have that opportunity. So it's incumbent upon us to listen to the community about what their concerns are. So that's why we're talking about it. I was not on the committee at the time when this happened, so I can't comment on exactly what happened there. But we have heard from the community of people who live above the alley that it's a concern to them about having an ingress and egress there. So it's incumbent upon us, of course, to discuss it.
Jimmy Wright would like to speak, but doesn't know how to raise his hand on the chat.
Okay.
Okay, could I clarify one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the complaints I got about the alley were many years ago. I have not gotten recent complaints. I don't believe we ever gave Freeman permission to use any outdoor space, but nobody has until tonight ever said that this was happening?
Because we're not that kind of people. We don't complain about our neighbors and we let them try to do their business.
Well, then you can't.
But I have documents that I'd be happy to share with you to show you that the entire alley is occupied by Freeman. And I understand that it's not, you're not here to decide what's fair and what's not fair. So I ask for you for at least give me 1 year to operate it, and I'll cooperate with Jimmy and I'll cooperate with everybody as best as I can. So the following year, if everything went well, you let us continue operate also from Freeman, and I will address every concern that either Arthur or Jimmy has. But please give us at least 1 year of a trial. Just put us a stand. Gadi is an excellent operator. We'll do everything we can to keep the alley quiet and clean, but at least give us 1 year chance to prove ourselves. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, thanks. Jimmy, Wright, do you want to speak? Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yes, I wanted to point out, David is not unfamiliar with the Bowery. He owned 8 Rivington Street in the late 80s, or sorry, the late 90s. So the neighborhood and the problems that come with the neighborhood are not a surprise to David. He's familiar with it. As for Freeman Alley, it is a private street. It is an unmapped street. It was demapped in the mid 1900s. There are questions as to whether David's title company would agree with his claims to, at one point he claimed he owned 10 feet to the center of Freeman Alley, and his title company simply said someone misspoke. We've not had a good relationship. Currently, we are still in a friendly negotiation to sign a license agreement because he's currently erecting a shed that runs from my front door all the way almost to the front door of Freeman's, the restaurant. And that's a protective shed because David now owns 183 Christie and is starting a demolition project to build a 10-story condo. So he has aggressively moved in on his interests in Freeman Alley. But from the very beginning, my relationship with him has been difficult because he's been so aggressive and, quite frankly, a bully.
Thanks,
Jimmy,
David, no, please.
Wow.
Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, Susan, I'm just curious to hear how you think we should handle this, because it seems like there's a legal dispute over the use of the alleyway, but Freeman's, of course, is using it. It's the only entrance to its space. You have not had complaints about sound there. Is that all right?
That for many years. So that's correct. As far as it being demapped, I cannot find any proof of that. I'm not saying it's true or not true, but I think nobody should be making any claims about it without providing documentation, because otherwise it's anecdotal. If you have documentation about who can do what, about whether it's demapped or not demapped, please send it to me. The reason I've been investigating is because recently someone started closing a gate over half of it, and I got complaints about it. That was the reason I was involved in this investigation. Let me ask you one thing. Has the hotel applicants discussed with the 5th precinct at all about the exit or entrance?
Yes, we not only contacted officers, we as in a representative attended the monthly meeting last week, shared our plans for operations and provided contact information for direct contact. No issues were raised regarding, the entrance on Bowery via Freeman. Admittedly, we didn't raise the issue, but at the time we didn't, quite honestly, and I will admit to this, I didn't realize it would be an issue, frankly. when I received the letter today, a few hours before this meeting, is when I realized that using Freeman Alley would be an issue. I thought it was something bizarre and arbitrary, but we have reached out, 3 different officers we've corresponded with, we've shared information with regarding our plans.
And have they discussed it at all with you? The officers?
The officers, I know that there's someone on here, Stephen, chatted with the officers directly, if you want to speak to that, Stephen.
Yeah. So I was the one who contacted the officers directly. I both gave them a physical copy of our traffic study and our security plan, and told them that if they had any questions, concerns, I also met them on site, and they also kind of recommended that we do the Freeman Alley entrance because of safety.
Can I ask who you spoke with?
Yeah. It was an Officer Dunsup, and then an Officer Urania.
There was also, you chatted with Rodney Rosado as well.
Yes.
Officer Rosado.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful, actually. So I don't know, Michelle, you're asking me, I mean, this seems to be a legal issue that we can't weigh in on at all because we don't have any information about a legal issue.
Right. So how would we, just hypothetically though, if we wanted to say that they can use the alley, how do we do that? Are we like, can we, I don't.
You mean, can you say that?
Yeah, if there's like some ongoing dispute that we don't, I mean.
Well, I think we should totally ignore any ongoing disputes. Those are
That's what I'm
private
asking, yeah.
disputes. And if something happens where, they can or can't use legally, that becomes an issue then. I think we should just ignore all those. They have nothing to do with us. And we have no documentation about what is or isn't on Freeman Alley. And I would really appreciate whatever anyone had.
Can I just say,
Thank you.
hi, it's me again. 1L Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, sorry, what do you have?
I believe Jimmy has documentation.
I sent
Okay,
documentation to the community board just now and CC'd Edwin Chan on it. I can send it to anybody else after this as well.
That's fine. That'll be fine. You sent it to me, right?
I sent it to the general and then 03, but I'll send it to you as well.
I
Susan.
have access
Okay.
to that.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be looking at it tonight.
I hope you wouldn't.
Okay. Jimmy, if you could resend it to us, I apologize. We just got so many emails about this. I can't find the attachment if you send it to us. I only see the previous, I only see your email with the previous stipulations. I don't see anything about the alley. So if you could send it to the office again, that'd be good. So Susan, you're saying just hypothetically, no matter what we decide on, we should just ignore the legal dispute and do what we're gonna do, right?
I would. I mean, you don't know how
okay.
it's going to be resolved.
Yeah, okay. All right, David, go ahead. David Crane.
Yeah, it seems to me the question we need to address is whether to have a stipulation restricting access in some way or not to have such a restriction.
Correct.
That's the only thing, and we should do that one way or the other,
Yes.
regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm in favor of restricting it as it was previously. It's having crowds spill out into that, or crowds coming in to go to a business through that. I don't think that is something that we want on that tiny street.
I know it's late and I've spoken quite a bit, but I wanted to see if I can make a helpful suggestion. We'd be more than willing to stipulate that if there are crowds, they'll be directed. We don't anticipate it, so we never talked about it, but that we would direct any crowds to Bowery. Any egress could be through Bowery. We just want the option for entry, after a certain hour to be available to Freeman Alley. We will do everything we can as operators to direct ingress and egress to Bowery. We will include that in our, address, in terms of promotional and other activity. But we just ask that we have that option, that it not be an outright prohibition to use Freeman Alley.
I don't want any, like a business setting up shop there that's going to be inviting people in, even in, you know, small groups into that tiny alley late at night. I think that's just a bad idea. It's creating, you know, it will create a entertainment zone similar to what I was describing in Amsterdam. It'll create an entertainment zone that we don't want on a tiny street. That's my position.
Plus, Dave.
I'll go ahead.
Freeman's has been there for years. They only have one entrance, so they have no choice. And they've
I
been there
know
for years.
Freeman's is already there, and I didn't quite understand it at the time. I was on the board and I was against granting that one, although I didn't see, you know,
They've been
had
fine.
an option, but I really thought that was also not such a great idea to create that entrance. That truly is drawing people into that alley. I mean, I guess that's fine at brunch.
There's
But
no complaints.
I don't know that inviting in is a good idea.
Okay, Jeanette, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'd like to hear where everyone is, just like yay or nay, and then we can move on, because what I don't know is how the committee feels still.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
I'm fine with hotel guests using it as ingress egress, but like to everyone's point, I don't think it's a good idea to have like a whole business emptying in and out. I understand that they want to restrict it, but like as a restaurant goer, as a bar goer myself, I don't really. If there was an entrance that I thought the line was shorter, I would just go, regardless of what they advertised as the place where I'm supposed to enter. So I just don't see that being a realistic scenario where they could be like, well, we'll have ingress here, egress here, this hours, that hours. It should just be blanket hotel patrons only.
And it's not controllable anyway. You can't control that.
I mean, if you have a hotel key, you can go in and out of one entrance. I think that's fair.
They probably can't control egress, but the ingress, as long as the key wasn't disabled, the key lock, the key system would prevent ingress except for residents. But anyway, Michelle,
Yeah, I guess my point is the way the stipulations were before were fine with me, and I don't think they should be added to in terms of, I'm fine with the way.
Herman.
Well, the way this discussion is going is as the application to the SLA, I mean, our CB3 SLA, it's all about entrance and exit instead of saying what the real application is about. In any case, I think tonight we should just deal with the fact that they come to us for an application for something with the address of the Bowery, and I think that's what we should deal with. As to egress in Freeman, I think that should be left to the participant that deals with Freeman to deal with that legally, or because we have discussed it in 2015 when they were talking about building. There was something called the Omni Group or something, and the report that it would threaten the small, quaint situation of Freeman Alley. So I guess 2015 and 2022 now, it's raising its head in a practical way. So all I would like to deal with, if possible, is just what they're coming to ask us for in terms of the hotel, and not designating whether they should either enter the Bowery or Freeman Street, Freeman Alley.
Okay, well, Herman, just the reason we're discussing that, because that seemed, so what the residents have asked for is for these applicants to abide by the same stipulations as the previous operators. They're willing to agree to all of those stipulations except for the Freeman Alley situation. So that's why we're talking about it.
And that's what I feel, what they feel.
Okay. Okay, Jesse.
I don't know. I feel like they're agreeing to all the other stipulations that were agreed to. I would be fine to give them that, but I think I would be outnumbered in that as we're taking this poll. That's where I stand right now.
Okay, thanks, Jesse. Yeah, I think that I think we know where the way the winds are going here. I personally would have probably been okay with entrance on the Freeman side, as long as all exit is on Bowery, because I'll talk about how, I know people leave bars and restaurants drunk, so it makes more sense that they be loud on the exit than on the entrance. I don't know if anyone is willing to change their position on that.
I can get behind that. I think the
I
drunk
would
people
love-
are leaving. That makes sense to me, logically.
And I will echo what others have said, is that you've chosen to do business in this location. The Bowery mission has been there for eons, frankly, and I do, I go there every morning. I pass there every morning. I do know the reality there, but that's, we just said to the last applicant, this is the place that you've chosen. You need to work within the regulations and realities of where you are. So I don't really have a lot of sympathy for that argument, frankly. But I just, from a logical standpoint, as Susan, I'm going by, that there have not been complaints. Like, this seems like a little bit more of like projecting about potential problems rather than existing ones. And given that, Freeman's is operating there and has been there for years, and Susan's not getting complaints, that, makes me think that it would be okay to have a little bit of ingress on that location. So, so Jesse, is that basically what you were thinking too, potentially?
Yeah, to me, that makes logical sense. They're in one, they're out the other. So we're not all congregating and waiting for doors to open and going back and forth. So to me, that seems like a reasonable compromise.
Okay. I don't know, Paul or David, if you have any thoughts about that compromise.
What's the difference, though?
Sorry, Herman, go ahead.
You try
The difference
to
would
get
be
away
that
from the
only-
people. You get away from the people from the Bowery for some reason by going through Freeman Alley, but they come back on the Bowery to see the same people you're trying to get away from. It seems it doesn't seem rational to me, because the people are there. They will be there, whether you go through the alley or to the front, but you will have to face the people you're trying to run away from, which you knew was there when the hotel was being built, or even before, when somebody chose the site that they would build the hotel. Would somebody assume that all of a sudden they would disappear when the hotel was built? So, compromising, the fact is we're trying to make it easy for them. That's not our business on this board. Business people who set up their business supposed to deal with their business. As they say, they made the decision. So there shouldn't be any compromise of this board of whether they entered the Bowery or Freeman Alley. We shouldn't be working any compromise here. It's not our role, I think. I rent my office where I rent my office, and I know the guys across the street were drug dealers. And I do complain, but I know I made my decision to rent that office.
Okay, I know, I understand, but I'm just saying that they're asking for something. It's our sort of role to decide if that's what we want to do. So that's my thought about it. Paul or David, anything else you want to add?
I'm against the entrance, and I'm saying it now.
Okay.
My computer goes out of power because I gotta find my cord.
Okay. Okay, David.
You know, I'm actually fine either way. I don't know. I mean, it's a tiny road, but it is an interesting. It is interesting to think entering on Freeman's, exiting off the Bowery puts the louder half on the Bowery. And that does sound interesting. I do kind of wonder though, now it hadn't really occurred to me. Oh, I'm not, yeah, this is probably good.
Did you just mute yourself, David? Okay.
I did, because otherwise I'll just continue.
Okay, so are you saying that you would be okay, David, with ingress on Freeman Alley, egress on Bowery only?
Yeah, I think I would. I also think that I heard 3 of the 5 of us saying that they preferred that.
Well, I think there's 6 of us and 4 of us said that it's okay now, so.
Herman, and I didn't hear what Paul said, actually.
Paul is against it.
Which version might Paul be for?
I don't understand.
Paul's against the entrance.
So basically, it's dangerous. It's not dangerous when you're going in, but it's dangerous when you're going out. Like I don't like.
Dangerous or loud? I mean.
No. When David was saying, yes, David, you were saying something about danger, and I deal with it every day with my places, but I don't understand what the entrance, if you hire so much security, hold on 1 second. If you hire so much security, and I deal with it myself all the time, if you hire so much security and you have a survey and you have this and you have that, why can't they be at the Bowery? And when you said that about Freeman's, remember one thing, when did you get the hotel? Freeman's has been there, and there has to be respect for the people that were there way before you were there. Go ahead.
So I think what Paul and Herman are saying is it doesn't make logical sense to be like, okay, like it's not safe to enter on Bowery, but it is safe to exit. Is that a good surmising,
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, so you won't get hurt there, but you will get hurt there. So it makes no sense. The best thing
I hadn't
is,
actually, I guess I'm tired because I wasn't paying close enough attention, but I hadn't heard this danger
David,
argument before. And go ahead, Paul.
David, it is dangerous. Let's not, especially the last 2 years, it's mayhem. And over there, it's mayhem. Let's not, trust me, I have to fight people off all the time. And David is right. But if what I'm saying is, logically, put the team there. And I mean, it is what it is. I have to deal with these people every single day. And it's really bad. And I don't care what people think. Oh, you can't talk about the homeless. Well, guess what? If they take a brick and they hit your sister in the head, then you'll care about it. You know, so it's a fact that everybody wants to hide behind. It's a fact. But I do think there has to be respect for the people that have been there way before.
So can I ask then, so are Paul and Herman in favor of only using the Bowery or allowing any entrance? Because I really don't know what I think.
Listen, to me, if he hired a team and he said he hired a team, did security, this, the license and that, put them on Bowery, use one entrance and alleviate the problems on the other side. That's what I would do. But I'm not, you know, that's his business model, not mine. That's just my suggestion.
That was my original suggestion.
I know I heard you, that's why I repeated
Are
it.
we coming to a conclusion at all? I feel like the more I hear, the more my mind changes over and over. And so I think at a certain point we just vote as a committee and move on. Or
yeah. Okay, let's just do a straw poll then. Final straw poll. This is your final chance, and then we're moving on. Okay.
May I say one sentence before you throw your cast your vote?
Go ahead.
I got married at 27. You think I know my wife? I had no idea who I married, okay? So I bought the building next to the Bowery Mission. I thought it's gonna be manageable. After 4 years of operating it, I understand fully what it means. So don't blame me because I bought the building, I know what I stepped into. You learn what you step into, like relationship. Over the years, you understand the difficulties, you understand the issues, and you try to resolve them. So I don't think it's a valuable argument to say that because I knew the Bowery Mission is next door, I knew what I was getting myself into. I thought it was manageable. The new museum somehow managed it. I wasn't able to manage it. That's one thing. The other thing, there is a major difference between ingress and egress. When you come in, you go to your place, you have fun. When you leave at night, you're already tired, you already had a few drinks, you're speeding back home, you're not like staying there. So if you could only grant us, please let the ingress go through Freeman, and we put a stipulation that all the egress must go through Bowery. I think it will be, when you're done at night, you had your drinks, you're rushing back home. You're not staying on the Bowery at whatever, 2 a.m. in the morning to see what's happening. You're just going straight back home. When you go in at 10 a.m. or 8 a.m., you're taking your time, you're with friends. Freeman is safe, Bowery is not. Please let me host my guests in a way that's safe for them. Please give me 1 year chance to prove that I can do it. And if there's no complaints, then why are we like breaking our heads over it? So that's my final statement. Thank you.
David,
All right, thanks.
before, hold on a second, Michelle, please.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Before battery goes out, you're setting yourself into a trap. So basically what you're saying is when they come in, they spend the money, it's okay for them not to get hurt. But when they leave, it's okay for them to get hurt. I mean,
all right,
seriously.
okay. No, I understand. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take a straw poll on allowing ingress, so entrances through Freeman Alley, and then all exiting on Bowery. I will say, sorry, I'm really tired. Ingress on Freeman Alley, egress on Bowery. I will say that on Bowery, there is like, you could wait for your car or whatever, however people are getting home inside the area. That's like a difference between the exit and the entrance. It's like a locked door there. They have a gate and like an outdoor space. So I'll just say that for the difference between coming and leaving. Okay, so here will be the stipulation. There'll be entrances to the hotel accessible to the public located on Bowery. But you could have entrances on Bowery as well. Just no, yeah, okay. Entrances and exits to the hotel accessible to the public located on Bowery between Stanton Street and Rivington Street, and an entrance to the hotel located on Freeman Alley, but no exit. I'll put this in the chat so or I can just, yeah, put this in the chat. Okay, so there'll be entrances and exits to the hotel accessible to the public located on Bowery between Stanton Street and Rivington Street, and an entrance but no exit to the hotel located on Freeman Alley off of Rivington Street between Christie Street and Bowery. All right, I'm gonna poll. Paul.
No, I mean.
David. Or don't we come back to you, David?
You please.
Jeanette.
I'm trying to think what's going to make the poll even or not even. I'm going to go with yes.
Okay. Herman.
No.
Jesse.
Yes.
David. I'm voting yes. So David,
Yeah,
you're the.
I understand. So I'm the. I hate commentary before one votes, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. That I really hate this if this is an attempt to avoid yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to have that amendment, that stipulation. And then other stipulations that I'd like to add, which were in the old one, are these: all loading and unloading will occur on Bowery. Deliveries and garbage and other pickups will occur on Bowery, and garbage will be retained inside of the hotel until pickup. Are there any objections to that? The applicants already said that they would agree to those stipulations. Okay. 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 All right, is there anything else? Committee, I know we spent a ton of time on this, but basically everything that we are is already in the stipulations, already in the draft resolution I sent you, was from the last resolution, and they already said that they would agree to. So basically the indoor, outdoor, the ingress, egress thing is the only thing that we were going to need to talk about, unless there's anything else that folks want to bring up.
Everybody's invited for a drink as soon as we open with
Okay,
SLA.
well, we're not allowed to do that, but please let me finish with the committee. Anyone else from the committee have any concerns about this before I share the stipulation screen?
Nope.
Okay. And thank you everyone for your patience. These are always difficult. I know it's late. Okay. So this is a hotel license for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for 225 Bowery, aka 3 Freeman. The kitchen open and serving food during all hours of operation, which is serving modern Mediterranean food. Hours of operation are ground floor indoors, 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. Ground floors outdoors, 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. 11 floors indoors, 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. 11th floor outdoors, 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sidewalk Cafe, which is just their outdoors, ground floor 12 a.m., 11th floor 2 a.m. They'll have an average of 5 guards on all days on the ground floor at 3 Freeman and 225 Bowery, and on the 11th floor, already installed soundproofing, closed fixed facade. No promote events, no event with a cover fee, no live music, right? You're muted, Barbara.
Live music was part of our method of operation on occasion. We want that flexibility.
Okay, when, how much? I think it wasn't in the application, otherwise I would have had it here.
It was in the, I apologize, in the notice and the method of operation. It might not have been exactly in the hours. Can we say that it's 5 security guards maximum? And Gotti, can you speak to the live music request?
We would like to occasionally have live music. It's not something that we're foreseeing happening immediately. If we were to do it, it's going to be sort of singer-songwriter type of stuff at the top floor. So it's not a major ask, but we would like to have that flexibility.
Okay. Committee, typically what we would do here, incidental live, unamplified music on Fridays and Saturdays in the 11th floor indoor space.
Can we remove the day restriction? Can we do it on other days?
How many days a week?
It's less about the number of days. It's more about doing it on other days other than Friday and
Well,
Saturday.
no. We. I understand. I'm saying how many times a week would you like to have it?
2, 3 is great.
Okay, committee. Any objections to that? Okay. Will not apply for an alteration without coming back. No pub crawls or party buses. No unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches with food. If it has a happy hour, it will end by 8. No wait lines. Staff person responsible for ensuring no crowding. They will use an online text reservations and texting system and direct any reservation-less patrons to wait in an interior space to avoid outdoor crowding and noise. It will follow the recommendation of the sound study regarding its outdoor spaces and place any outdoor speakers on the ground to minimally impact ambient sound and turn them off 30 minutes before closing. It will ensure no loud patrons in the outdoor ground floor patio or congregating around any ingress egress points. And I'm going to add the 3 stipulations that we talked about the that I posted in the chat that we there were no objections to, that there will be entrances and exits to the hotel on Bowery, entrance only on Freeman, unloading and loading will occur on Bowery, and deliveries and garbage and other pickups will occur on Bowery. Okay. Anyone from the committee have any questions, comments, or concerns before I move to a vote? Okay. Okay. Moving this to a vote. Thank you everyone for your patience again. This will be the outgoing vote. Michelle, yes. David,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Herman,
No.
Paul, did we lose you? I think we lost him. All right, we lost Paul. I guess he ran out of power. Okay, thank you everyone again for coming. Thank you everyone from the community for helping us with this. Thank you applicants. We'll send you stipulations tomorrow. Have a great evening.
Everyone,
Whatever's
thanks.
left of it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate